myself today to see if I still feel. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The needle tears a hole, the old familiar sting. Try to kill it all away, but I remember everything. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt. I wear this crown of thorns upon my liar's chair, full of broken thoughts I cannot repair. Beneath the stains of time, the feelings disappear. You are someone else. I am still right here. What have I become? My sweetest friend. Everyone I know goes away in the end, and you could have it all. My empire of dirt, I will let you down. I will make you hurt.
The elite wants to keep things under control at all costs. The penalty for any crime, no matter how minor, is death. Tech One, a global broadcasting company, has launched Scum, a special reality show broadcasted 24/7. Concepts proven many times during the course of history worked again as planned. As long as people are entertained, they forget about their real problems. For the purpose of the show, the whole island was transformed into a heavily secured location. Broadcasting equipment was installed throughout the area, and the island was populated by modern-age gladiators, prisoners sentenced to death. All former residents were moved to the other locations. Those who didn't want to leave were simply left to die. Prisoners themselves were parachuted from the sky into small groups and left to build their own society. This is Tech One, bringing you your daily news.
Unmute everything. There we go. Then we're live. Welcome everyone to the developer interview here with Beta, or not Beta, BEDA. I have around 40 questions. The alerts are turned off. There's no music, no nothing, no disturbance. Chat. It's gonna be hard to read. We are on YouTube as well as on Twitch. And there is over 100 people here talking, so it's going to be difficult to keep up with everyone in chat. So we're going to try to keep that to minimal and keep go towards the end of the interview to go through chat when we're done with all the questions. There is, like I said, over 40 questions, so there is a lot of them. And in terms of like subs and support and stuff like that, thank you so much. I will go through those at the end of the stream. But first off, I think maybe you could explain your position better in introduce yourself and explain your position in Game Pirates first.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I'm BEDA. A lot of you know me from patch notes or most announcements related. I'm the senior community manager here at Gampires. Been with Gampires for almost 6 years now. And yeah, my responsibilities are basically everything and anything community related, with a lot of the stuff on the side. As is in game development, you always help out each other. But
You have had quite a lot to do with the events as well. I've been to a couple of them.
Oh yeah, so yeah, all of the streamer events that you see, I'm organizing them, making them up, and making sure everything is going properly. So whenever you see something mess up in streamer events, you know who to blame, and it's this guy.
Yeah, I'm sure you get a lot of messages from all kinds of people through Discord and everything. Everybody wants to speak to the developers about their suggestions and problems and everything. I say we jump straight into the questions. If that's okay with you.
Yeah, no problem.
So the first questions. This is for the people who don't know, who are just tuning in. This is sort of a PvP related interview. Like the main topic is PvP. There is a lot of PvE stuff as well, but there has been a lot of interviews, or not a lot. It's been 5 interviews. How many interviews have there been with the developers?
Oh, over the years, a lot.
Yeah, but most of them have been, least of them have been PvP related. So this PvP interview is been people waiting for a long time. First question I want to get into is the limping effect, because in Scum, it doesn't, or well, at the moment, it doesn't matter where you get shot or get hurt. At the moment, if you get shot in the arm or in the shoulder, if you don't start limping permanently, in terms of like you have to use painkillers or heal, you'll limp for like 4 or 5 seconds. And in a game that has so low TTK time, that can really, like, if let's say you have a bolt action sniper and you shoot someone in the shoulder or the arm, they start limping for 4 or 5 seconds, that's enough to basically kill them and you're screwed, right? Even though you don't get shot in the arm, no, in the leg, you still start limping. And also when you get killed, or not killed, when you get hit by zombies, if you get low enough, I think it's 50%, you start limping as well. And when you have 2-3 zombies on you and you're using a bow or a melee weapon, it's most of the time death for you. You can't really defend yourself. So the question is really, have you put any thoughts into the limping effect, or has that kind of like the limping is there to stay, and this is how it's going to be for 1.0?
Well, Olympic is here to stay as of right now. The reason why it is the way it is right now is there has to be consequences to getting damaged, to getting shot, to getting hit so many times, right? Scum, the core element of Scum is hardcore survival. So there's always going to be consequences of whatever happens. especially when you get shot. Now, the reason why you still get limping effects right now, even though you, for an example, you got shot in the arm or something, is we didn't have enough time yet to implement all the other effects that we are planning. We do have plans to implement effects depending on whether you got shot in the arm or somewhere else, to have like different statuses, effects, debuffs, but it had to wait a little bit because priorities shifted, development shifted, turned out to be much more complicated, and then you have to switch the programmers around because we do still have a pretty small team. You have to shift them around to get them focused on something else. For an example, to say we have one main guy programmer who's not only doing the metabolism and the limping effects and all of that, he's also the guy that I'm probably guessing that's going to be one of the questions as well. He's also responsible for movement rework, right? So then you have to shift around what's going to take priority, fix the movement, get more effects in, stuff like that. Right now, it's set for the damage and the limping effect because we still want you to have some consequences of getting shot or getting swarmed by puppets. So there has to be something there, right?
Yeah, we understand that. I think it's good that you are at least thinking about it to change it, because other ways you could do it is basically like in terms of aiming and stuff like that. Let's say you get hit in the arm or something, your aim starts shaking a lot or swaying a lot, because the limping, it's so, how to say, cruel. Like if you take a new player who hasn't really played Scum and they get swarmed by puppets, for me and a lot of other experienced players, puppets is not a problem. Like if you get a lot of them, it can be a problem. But if they get, they're gonna get hit, especially when they try to melee the puppets. You're basically dead. And in a game that death is so punishable, for a lot of new players, they give up. I remember I used to watch the Australians that started streaming Scum. There was a couple of Australians, very big streamers. They had around 300 to 500 viewers streaming Scum, and they joined. I'm sure you remember the first Scum League.
Mm-hmm.
They were in the first Scum League, and I remember I was watching them after Scum League, and I was watching three of them, and they were trying to fight the puppets with the spear. And for everyone that plays Scum, everybody knows that the spear is the worst weapon in the game. Like trying to fight zombies, it's better to fight them with a knife. And they were trying to fight the puppets with the spear, and then the puppets hit them, and they started limping. And one of the guys just raged quit and actually said, fuck this game, and hopped off the game and started playing something else. And I thought to myself, for new players, like Scum is a difficult game, and with the puppets being like they are, the limping, really like it's so punishable because you lose so much when you die. And have you at least thought about a new system for it? Like I know you said that right now limping is for staying, but have you thought about something for the arm or something like that instead of just limping, or instead of limping, actually make it so like let's say you start like jogging wobbly in terms of that effect, like not just limping as slow as you can, because limping is pretty slow and it can be very difficult to fight the puppets, but actually maybe have some sort of like let's say you get knocked out in real life, you're gonna try to start jogging and stuff, you're gonna be very wobbly and very slow, you know what I mean? Have you thought about anything else, or is it just right now you need to focus on something else and then limping will come later?
I mean, of course, right? To start with the first part of that, Scum has always been and will always be a game of trial and error, right? When you start, you are gonna make mistakes. You are gonna get. I mean, first thing that comes into my mind of starting players is infections. Infections are probably gonna be the first thing that are gonna mess them up because um, they're not paying attention to it, or so on, so on. But we are working on those first-time user experience improvements as well, making sure that like the codex got introduced, and there's going to be tutorials, stuff like that. Like I said, yes, we are thinking about adding more effects, and then not rely so heavily on limping for damages. That include that could include anything right now, right? I can't say exactly what we're doing because it can change since it's still in development. And things
Understandable, yeah.
change in development, and we all know how internet works. Thing that I say that might be today, you guys are gonna take it as a promise tomorrow. I'm not new here.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
gonna stick it to you, yeah.
yeah. So, but there's a lot more that goes into it, right? For an example, the example that you gave maybe give a little bit of a more wobbly jog and all that. That includes making new animations, having animators on it, to make sure that it's all properly rigged, stuff like that. Then you have programmers implementing it. Then you have game designers put it in. When will it happen? What are going to be chances of it happening? And so on, so on, so on. So there's always going to be multiple people that have to get involved with it to be properly implemented into the game. And we are gonna do it. It's not gonna be always just limping. It's just a matter of when exactly.
Well, I think I'm pretty happy with that answer. I think people are happy as well, that because it's a question that hasn't really been answered. Like nobody knows if are they thinking about it or is it just staying, or but it's good that you're at least you have it in your mind. It's just not the correct time for it right now.
Yeah, I mean, we are thinking about we do have a couple of documents of all the other different statuses and effects that can happen, but like including broken bones and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
we have to, not only that you have to implement it, you have to implement a way to give players to combat it, right? For
Yeah.
an example, you have a huge gash on your arm and then it does an effect. You have to give players a way to be able to combat that effect. Example, infections and antibiotics.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's good answered. Moving on to question number two, which I think a lot of people are wondering about, and it was asked the last Q&A, but it wasn't answered so properly, so it will be asked again. The scope bug. Is there any
Yeah.
fix to that?
Yeah, next update it should be fixed. After so many of you guys did it in the Q&A, I actually went to the programmers and make sure we escalated it so it has a high priority to be fixed.
I think everybody is screaming in their chairs right now. Maybe not more than me, but I think everybody is screaming. That's a bug that has been affecting so many people. And I can say myself, there's so many times I've been sitting screaming, and especially in the evening, because I think a lot of people know that in the evening I sit and whisper, and it's ASMR grants because of my roommates. But I'm sitting here, fuck is this bug? Because I lose the battle because of the scope not rendering. So that I'm so happy to hear that scope bug will be fixed for the next update. Very happy. Moving on to question 3, armor, and this is this is connected to question 4 as well. But I will start with the first basics of it before we get into armor deeply. Armor right now, in terms of bullets hitting armor, it is not working properly with armor piercing rounds and normal rounds. We have done some testing. I've had friends that done some testing as well, double check, and it is the exact same damage if you shoot someone with that has armor with an armor piercing round or a normal round. In reality, armor piercing rounds does more damage to armor. It doesn't do more damage to body. But you use armor piercing to break the armor, and then you use normal bullets to, kill the person. But it's not working properly now. The same goes for base building. If you try to shoot base building elements with normal rounds, it does the exact same damage as armor piercing round. But armor piercing rounds cost more, and people automatically think they are better. But right now, they're not really properly working. Are you guys aware of that, and have you thought about a fix for that?
Yeah. So originally, when we introduced armor piercing round, it was set up in that way where it was dealing more damage to the armored vests, not the players themselves. But then we started doing some testing, maybe have it actually penetrate more, stuff like that. The reason why you don't see the difference right now is due to the penetration bug that we have. If you notice, uh, for some time now, bullets don't penetrate as they should.
Yeah.
For example, a 50 cal should not only get the guy behind the wall, it should get the guy behind the wall, behind the guy, behind the wall, behind the guy, behind the wall, behind the fridge, since it is a 50 cal bullet. Uh, there are some shenanigans going on in the engine, and we are looking into a fix, but it turned out to be a lot more complicated fix, since we are using a really, really realistic ballistic model. For an example, our damage completely depends on a bullet velocity, bullet weight, penetration. That's why we don't give out the damage numbers of bullets, because they're not constant. It always depends on the conditions, on the what bullet it is, what's the velocity of it, and stuff like that. So yes, we are aware of it. It will come on the word I'm looking for in English. Uh, Down the line, it will come as a priority
Eventually,
and stuff like
basically.
that. Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
But like like I mentioned, uh, this, like I said, for metabolism and movement rework, we also have like limited resources and limited number of programmers.
Yeah.
So that's another programmer that is in charge for all the weapons and ballistics and all of that. But his priority currently right now is making sure that the NPCs and armed NPCs are working properly for their own release. So that took a little bit of a more priority.
Understand. Moving on with that question, moving on further into armor. Right now, armor is not really, how to say. I don't want to say it's not working, because it is working, but it's not as beneficial as it should be. Because you have two different, or well, you have a couple of different types of armor, but the two main ones are the heavy vest and the bulletproof vest, the tactical vest. And the biggest difference from those two are the weight, basically. But when you test it, it doesn't really make a lot of difference if you use the big one, which weighs more. And in general, it doesn't really do that much. Like, you can get shot 2 times with an AK, for example, and you'll survive, and then the third bullet will kill you. You get shot with armor, it counts maybe 2-3 more bullets more. But when in a game that has so low TTK time, it's not that big of a difference, and it doesn't really make it doesn't make armor that important as I think it should be. Because in most PvP situations, there's gonna be a lot of respawning, and most fights, or not most fights, but a lot of fights are just naked fights. You come back, you grab a gun. Armor doesn't really change the outcome of a battle as it kind of should do, you know? Because it doesn't save you that much. So the question really is, have you given any thought to improving armor in terms of like how many bullets it can take? Because same with small caliber, it doesn't take that many bullets, basically. Let me rephrase that. If you single shoot a MP5 or UMP, it doesn't tank that many bullets as it should do. If you spray it, sometimes, or a lot of times, the game doesn't really properly render that you're shooting someone because of the gun shoots so fast. I don't know the exact mechanics for it, but basically, sometimes when you spray someone, you think, holy shit, this UMP is garbage. Like, dude tanked the whole magazine. Well, if you single shoot them, it's like, oh, it didn't really take that many bullets. So, have you given any thought to improving the armor and making it like more valuable than it is right now?
So there's a a lot of factors in everything that you mentioned right now. So the most recent one with the UMP and MP5, the UMP and the MP5 actually, when you full auto it, they have a bigger spread than you think. So even though in the animation and stuff like that, you think you're like quite precise, fully shooting full auto with it, the bullet spread is going to be a bit higher. So more rounds are going to miss, and you're than when you're just tapping it and then shooting it. And then it also depends on what round it is. Like you said, an AK will go through armor 2-3 rounds, then armor is not there anymore. But that's that's the way it honestly should be, because 7.62 is not a round to be taken lightly. And there's very few armor graded that I can actually stop 7.62. And after a couple of rounds, like in game, that armor is compromised, right? So he's in the game. After a couple of bullets, your armor is compromised and it's going to start letting through more and more damage. 45 is a subsonic round, so it doesn't have as much of like penetrating armor, so it deals reduced damage to armor. The difference, like you mentioned, that you don't see the difference between the heavy armor and the bulletproof armor. You are right; they provide the same amount of protection. The heavy armor just provides a bigger area of protection. Bulletproof armor is, which in a lot of PvP scenarios you will not really notice that much, because we all know we all shoot either center mass or at the head or even at the legs to, like we mentioned earlier, make the target limp so you can kill him easier.
Mm.
But it protects shoulders and stuff like that, giving you a little bit more added protection, and that's like the trade-off of it. We do have some plans to maybe, well, I wouldn't say plans. We're constantly talking about like every aspect of the game, like what we can improve and stuff like that, of what to do with armor. But, well, like I said, guess who's in charge of armor and stuff like that? The same guy that's doing all the weapons and bullet penetrations is
Yeah.
the same guy that does NPCs.
Well,
Um,
if you think about it this way, if you take armor piercing rounds into account when we're talking about armor, I think right now a normal bullet, I think you can survive 4 bullets from an AK, if I'm not mistaken. If you have armor, and I think it's 2 or 1 without. I'm not
mhm.
entirely sure. But if you were to implement armor piercing, how big of a change would that be to armor? Because when you have it that low, let's say you survive, I think it's 33 per hit with the AK bullet, the armor. So I think you can like barely survive or something with 3 hits. Maybe, I'm not completely sure. I haven't tested it. It's been a minute. But the difference between AP rounds and normal rounds, it can't really make that big of a difference. You know what I mean? When the armor is that kind of weak, I would say. What is the plan to do with armor and armor piercing rounds when the TTK time is still so low for armor?
I mean, let me ask you this way: do you agree that when a person is running around without armor, shooting him, like shooting at the chest, center mass, 1 or 2 bullets, that guy should be dead, right?
Yes.
So in comparison, when you have armor, doubling the amount of bullets that he takes makes sense, which is, like you said, 4 to 5 rounds. So it all depends on, uh, and also do remember that uh, armor only protects where the plates should be, right? So the chest, the cavity area, and below the, like the belly button, those are
Yeah.
not going to be that much protected. So we do test penetration and stuff like that all the time. And if I was at my work PC right now, I could like bring out the table
Yeah.
of all the penetration testing that we did. Uh, in my like in our experience and all that, because we do a lot of play testing, and we do have something that we call play days. So before every update, the whole company gathers around, and we basically have our own server, which we all play on, just like you guys do on live servers, stuff like that. And where I'm coming from is I am a PvP player as well, and I have a funny story about it. Before I started like working, well, those play days were all happy and people were cooperating and stuff like that. Now everybody in our company is kill on site because it might be me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you do want to keep that sense of danger and realism Because armor will never make you invincible. Just in like real life, you have body armor to increase your chances of survivability, and being able to tank the first 2 rounds goes a long way. But you cannot expect to be able to like tank a half a mag from an AK with bulletproof vest and just to walk away. Maybe down the line, if we can connect it to the first question with the limping and what I said with other effects and all that, we can have a bit higher survivability with the armor, but then you have more consequences. For an example, if a 7.62 hits you in your body armor, yeah, you're gonna survive, but the force of the impact will probably break your ribs or something. Excuse me, break your ribs or something. And then we can have that conversation, but it's never in a game like Scum where you have so many complex elements all connecting to each other, intertwining into each other. It is never like a simple implementation, and it's never a simple fix, because once you change a little thing, you have to look into all of the other things connected to it, right?
Yeah, but in terms of like, I would say the normal bullets are hollow points, right? That's normal bullets. That is bullets that does a lot of damage to flesh, but it doesn't do like it does damage to armor. But comparing it to armor piercing round, it's a big difference. And I would say normal rounds to a good armor, I would say they could tank a couple. I'm not saying half a AK mag, of course, that would be ridiculous. But I'm saying like if it could tank like 3-4 bullets, or at least give you like you said, that impact damage instead of getting actual like bleeding damage. You get like impact damage instead, which is like minor. And then after like let's say 3-4 hits, you start taking like you're breaking through that armor with hollow points. With armor piercing rounds, I would say the same like it is right now, like 2-3 bullets, you're pretty much through and you're hitting, let's say 1-2 bullets, you're breaking the armor and it's done, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, the normal rounds are not hollow point rounds. Hollow point rounds are something completely different, expanding rounds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like I said, it takes a lot more to implement that. We did experiment early on with maybe doing that kind of damage and having a threshold of how much of that damage you accumulated, and then forcing the hit player into a knockout or a ragdoll or something like that. And there's two things that happened. First of all, the ragdoll bug, where it doesn't sometimes correctly sync between two players, and then you can't find the knockdown guy, and then he has enough time to wake up in another place that you saw him at. That's one of the issues. And the other issue is, I mean, you already knocked them down, and it's usually most engagements happen in such a way where you're gonna, if you're close range, you're just gonna be able to double tap him immediately anyway. So we need to have a better look at it, and then once we have more of the damage types and stuff like that, we can look at it again. But right now, we do like to keep that more hardcore low TTK to it.
Okay.
And like I said, bulletproof armors are called bulletproof. They're not called bullets proof. Let's just say it like that.
Put it into perspective. It kind of got me into something else as well, which I wanted to add it to the end now, but I think it's a good time to speak about it. Bleeding effect. It doesn't really matter what you do in this game. If you take any sort of damage, you start bleeding. Is that supposed to stay forever, or is that thought of to change in the future?
No, it's not gonna stay forever. It's the same thing, like I said, with limping. It's currently the effect that we have mostly fleshed out. So right now, like for an example, standing into a fire, although we do have burn before, standing into a fire gave you bleeding effect as well until we implemented actual burn damage, and you had burn gel to treat it and stuff like that. once we get more of those damages implemented, then we can move more and more bleeding effects away from stuff that shouldn't give you a bleeding effect.
Sorry. I wanted to move on to helmets as well. It's kind of in that armor category because right now helmets are not working. It's kind of like just for looks, and it doesn't really help you anything. You can shoot like a 22 to a helmet, and you'll get shot in the head, like you'll get killed. Same with 9mm and stuff. I've seen a lot of videos where helmets will stop like smaller calibers, but right now it doesn't really stop it. Have you given any looks into that? And like, I don't want to say date. You don't want to give dates to people because they'll stick it to you. But is that for the near future, or is that further down the line?
Once we've managed to figure out what's actually causing the penetration bug, it's going to be fixed again. The issue why it is right now is because we had to remove the helmet having its own, we call it material value. So every single material that you have in game, whether it's like doors made out of wood or helmet made out of Kevlar, they have its own like material value, and then depending on it and the bullet velocity is how much is going to penetrate. And then getting hit in the head also gives you damage multipliers, because headshot should be a headshot. Like, there are rarely cases of people walking away from headshot, unless you're like Simo Hayek, the White Death or something, which is like incredibly rare. And once we had that penetration bug started showing up, we had cases of guys shooting an SVD bullet, which at the time was like the second most powerful round or the third most powerful round in the game, into a guy, but the penetration didn't register properly, and then the guy just walked away with no issue, like, I just tanked this bullet into my head, no problem, just gonna
Just
keep
chilling.
going. And then you can tell me, right, like, until we fix it, is it better to have it enabled and then helmet headshots not count unless you shoot him in the face, or have it right now where at least you're getting rewarded for a properly placed headshot? That's the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah, I think that's a part of playing an early access game as well. Testing the game and kind of picking in between what's worth having it in the game and making it unplayable, or just having it like not in the game and make it like it is.
That's the main thing, right? That's why the game still early access tag and all that, because it is constantly still in a development.
Yeah.
The one thing I have to mention to all of you guys, is the things that I always repeat and stuff. For every single bug that you guys see, there's like 100 that we eliminate before we even release it. But it's always the nature of when you're actively developing a game. Things are constantly changing. There's multiple people working on multiple stuff that are, like I said, in a game like Scum, are all connected to each other. And there's sometimes cases that, for an example, there were a couple of times where vehicles were start spinning out in our own internal builds in such a way, and then we were looking into it, like what was going on with it, and it turned out something completely unrelated. For an example, metabolism, which shouldn't make sense. It's not supposed to influence each other, but so it happens. So yeah, helmets, especially lower caliber rounds, like such like a 22, or for an example, if you shoot a guy and you get him in the helmet 600 meters out with a 5.56, the helmet should stop that round.
Okay.
But until we get the penetration going correctly, it's going to stay this way. As soon as that is fixed, you can expect a fix for that as well.
So basically, the cause of the issue for a lot of these questions are basically the penetration damage, which is being worked on. But until then, a lot of these things have like a collateral damage where a lot of them will not work as they're intended to work. Moving on to question number 6. You answered this a little bit. Auto sorting, but I added something to it as well. You answered it last Q&A, and I think you're thinking about it, but it's not quite there yet because you have to remake some stuff. But I had an interesting take on auto sorting and picking up items, and I had to copy the message because I thought it was quite funny because he had done the math on how many clicks you do. He said to build one element, this is base building. To build one element from level 2 to level 5 with the medium engineering, it takes 93 double clicks just to gather these resources from loot containers, rusty cars, brick piles, etc. into your backpack. Then 93 double clicks to drop them on the ground, as it's faster than dragging from the backpack to the chest. Next, you have 93 drags to place them into the chest, travel to the base, another 93 double clicks from the chest to the backpack to build the walls. This totals an average of 372 clicks to transfer resources from a loot container to a tier 5 wall. Okay, drop that one. For 400 elements, this is like the basic vanilla, 400 elements for a base. For 400 tier 5 elements, this results in approximately 150,000 clicks. Basically, the question is, have you given any thought to having it so not having to double click every item you want to pick up? Maybe like like if you hold control and left click to pick up certain items, or like pick up all or something, instead of having to double click everything, because you can drag the items, but it's extremely much slower than just double clicking everything. Have you given any thought to that?
That concerns key binding, and then I have to see with the guys at the company if something like that is. Double click is. It's the same speed of holding shift and clicking. Honestly, maybe like
it's just a lot of pressure for the mouse. Like you're doing a lot of clicking. To take some examples. For example, Rust has it this way: you can just like swipe your mouse over some stuff, and you can pick it up. Tarko has it like you hold down a button and then you just click on the items and it'll get put down. Or if you want to put it in chest, like if you open inventory, you just hold the button down and click on all the items instead of like having to drag them or double click them on the ground and then drag them into the chest or whatever, which is more efficiently.
We can look into it, but do not expect anything before the inventory rework, because that has to be the main thing that we nail down first, and then we can look about not only assigning any keybinds, but actually giving the option to maybe customize the keybinds as well.
Okay. Do you want to give a take on the auto sort as well? I know you said it in the Q&A, but just to give people a answer for the auto sorting.
Yeah, auto sorting is something that requires a lot of thought into it, and like again, first inventory work, then we can look into any kind of maybe auto sorting, because what's going to be the criteria for auto sorting? Is it going to be by size? Is it going to be by alphabetic? Is it going to be by durability? Is it going to be by value, and so on and so on and so on and so on? So it really it needs better looking into before we go down that route, because we don't want to. Last thing that you want is to implement some sort of auto sorting that sometimes maybe works and it's not to everybody's tastes, and then it can cause some issues where your items disappear or you leave some items behind. So yeah, that's more or less the same answer as on the Q&A stream.
Yeah, that is understandable. Next question. This is kind of I gave some thought to it, and it's not that, how to say, important of a question, but I wanted to ask graphite. Is that intended just to sell, or is there coming another purpose for it? Because right now it's just
Uh,
for selling, basically.
we did have a lot more purposes for it, even when we started, when we implemented it and all that. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough time to finish it. I'm not sure if I can. Yeah, I'm not sure if I can tell you what those plans are because we might do them, we might not. So I will rather not say, so I don't
Okay.
get in trouble. Uh,
Obviously.
yeah. There are plans for it. There are some, even some. Okay, I'm gonna hint at it. There were even some PvP/rating plans for it. Uh, that's all I'm gonna say right now because we're gonna have to see what's going on there.
That is understand. Sorry, I was reading a question I didn't quite understand. That is interesting because I remember you spoke about graphite when it was added, and it was supposed to have like more of a purpose than just selling. And I searched it up recently, like what is the purpose of it, and I couldn't really find like understandable purpose where I was like, okay, this makes sense for me. And I tried to ask the others as well, so I was like kind of thinking maybe not to ask it because you can use it for like pens and stuff like that, but I didn't really find like a purpose for Scum. But if you have something in mind, that is an interesting thought.
I mean, I'm not sure if anybody would really want a pen with radioactive graphite.
Yeah, no, I just that's like the stuff I
The
could find like the use for. I was like, well, okay, I didn't know that. I thought it was more purpose to this, but okay, that's I get
Yeah,
it.
but there are some plans for it, but we'll see if that's going to stay or is going to change. Um, but yeah, there's going to be more stuff that's going to implement it.
Uh, Add-on question to auto sorting, because through the years, there's been a lot of questions about bobby pins, stacking bolts, open the bolt box, or everything at once.
Mm-hmm.
Question about when you pick up, and I kind of know the answer to this because it's a little bit more complicated. Let's say you pick up bolts, right? If you double click them, they don't stack, and I can kind of answer it by itself. It's because they don't have the same value in terms of health. So if you were to pick up a bolt that is, let's say you have a bolt that is 100% and then you double click on a bolt that is like 20%, that'll reduce the overall health of all the bolts in there to, I don't know the percentage, like 60% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so I know that kind of answer, but is there a thought behind that where they just stack automatically, or is that kind of like the reason for why there's no, stacking automatically when you pick up stuff?
I mean, yeah. Uh, we did have it where it automatically stacked into. For example, you have 70% of 12 gauge, and you have find 20% free shells of 20% 12 gauges, and then it takes an overall value of it. And then people were complaining about that, so we put it currently like that. And then if you want to stack them together, we give you the option to do it if you want that trade-off. But if you want to keep your high-grade munition for yourself or to sell, or vice versa for the low-grade ammunition, then you can do it that way. Um, we'll see if there's maybe a smarter way of doing it in the inventory rework, but
Yeah,
that's currently
yeah,
because we want to at least give the option to the player right now until it's all said and done
yeah. Maybe
to
like a
have an
button,
option
maybe like a
of what they want.
button in the settings, like if you want to enable this or not, so you don't come there and complain when you accept it or something like that. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
Hmm.
we'll have to look into it.
Here comes one of my the questions I'm really wondering about. The nuclear city right now, it doesn't really have that big of a purpose. And the reason I say that is because right now the biggest purpose, I'm sure many people don't know this. This is kind of like a pro player thing to know, but the nuclear city spawns two separate keycards compared to the rest of the island, who has one keycard for all the police station. And other than that, you have vehicle spawns there, but the nuclear city doesn't really have that good loot, and especially not get that good of a loot where you compromise it being radioactive, having to wash it or whatever. You understand what I mean? Like it's the
Mm-hmm.
biggest POI, and it has the least amount of loot and in usage to go there. Like you only have mostly like the pros going there for key cards, and the rest of the community is like, yeah, maybe to explore, but it's not like a purpose to really loot here because there's better places to loot than to sacrifice going into a radioactive area to not really gain any really valuable loot. Like the other POIs ways out in Nuclear City. Is there any plans to upgrade the Nuclear City loot so it's like actually desirable for people to go there and prioritize it? Like you know, high risk for the nuclear radioactivity, but high reward. You know.
Let me put it this way: wait for NPCs and quests.
Yeah, that's all we need to know. It's good to hear. Good to hear that you haven't forgot about the nuclear city. A question, a little bit of a like a minor question. Charcoal, the medication. Well, I'm sure you thought about the charcoal itself, like the coal, but the medication right now, it's not that much of a use because I can eat like a pack of painkillers, like a 24 stack, and I'm good because like the food what is it called, repulsion,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it doesn't get up to where I get something to worry about, you know. So I can like throw down a pack of painkillers, no problem, and I'm pain free for days. You know what I mean? And so I like the point is like there's not that big of a usage and value for charcoal at the moment. Have you planned anything more use for charcoal, like any more overdoses and stuff like that? Because it is meant to treat overdoses, basically.
Uh, yeah, I can't speak on that at this
Cannot
moment,
speak.
unfortunately. No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know that you guys are here for me to answer questions, but I promise there's really, really few of them on this list that I cannot answer, and that's fortunately one
Yeah,
of them.
that's all good. It's not the biggest and most important one for PvPers at the moment, so it's not a big loss. Next question, and this is one of my favorite ones. Food. Right now, cooking food, I do enjoy it. I think it's a fun part of the game. And it's like it when I do it, it's more so me enjoying the game for what it is, the survival of it. But me as a PvPer and being competitive, uh, I, I don't need it. Like for PvP at the moment, like all it does is it helps your exhaustion, and you know you have to take it out from vanilla. You know vanilla has exhaustion. A lot of PvP servers take that out because a lot of people don't like it, but it'll help exhaustion. But to me, you as a PvPer, you're gonna end up dying a lot. You know you die to PvP all the time, and when you do die, the exhaustion is gone. So the value of cooking food is not really there. You'll just buy MRE instead. But my thoughts about cooking food is that what if cooking food had a purpose where when you eat the correct food, the proteins, the minerals, the vitamins, carbs, everything in total, the the speed of skilling increases. Not only for strength and endurance, but when you eat the correct food in real life, your head is more up to date. You know, you think straighter, you work better. You know what I mean? So my question is there any thoughts behind giving cooked food a purpose for skilling? Because skilling in this game is a very big part of the game. The game.
Um, that's something that the game designers have currently locked up tight in their own little basement. So, um, on how it all, but like you said, um, already has a purpose in combating exhaustion and all of that. And uh, if you, I mean, of course, if you play on a server that turned off exhaustion and doesn't want to deal with exhaustion, it's okay. I can see your point of currently not having seeing any value in cooking food, but that was your choice to play on a server that disable exhaustion. The thing you have to take into consideration, the way we balance our game is on official settings and official servers, and that then we give the tools for the community to create whatever other experience that they want.
Well, even though if I play official, because I have played official a lot. This is where I started. When you start out playing official, you start out most of the time having to run all the places, but eventually, and if you're a PvPer and very competitive, you end up getting a vehicle. And when you do get that vehicle, exhaustion is not really a problem. So it kind of, it's not that valuable. Do you understand what I mean? Like, I wish it was more valuable because I do enjoy it, but just because we use vehicles and stuff like that a lot, you don't really get that issues that much. It's more for people that do not have vehicles and have to travel by foot a lot and have to do a lot of the building and gathering resources on foot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. Realistically speaking, if you look like at all the data and all of the official servers and stuff like that, most players actually do not have vehicles and they do travel on foot. And also exhaustion when it was first implemented, it was a lot more harsh than right now, and it was
Yes,
easier to
yes.
get exhaustion level 2, level 3. So cooking food took a lot more like front stage into that, but a lot of the players gave feedback and started complaining of it being too harsh and that they didn't like it, so we had to tone it down a lot.
Yeah, that is understandable. That also they have food and cooking in the basement, so I guess you can't really answer too much about
No,
that anyway.
anything like deep into the game design, I cannot answer at this point because those things constantly change depending on the circumstances, right? For an example, there's currently plans to do this and this and this and this, and then once the development of it starts, it turns out that something cannot be done due to either engine limitations or another feature is preventing it because that one won't work properly, and then you would have to completely revise that and stuff like that. So that's yeah, something that I do not want to give you guys any information that would turn out false tomorrow.
Understandable. Moving on to next question. This is a big one. This is a very big issue for a lot of people. Reshade. Is there any
Mm-hmm.
plans to ban reshade? Because me personally, I absolutely hate reshade. And there's a lot of other people that hate it as well. There's a lot of people that like it because they use it themselves. But to me, reshade is horrible. It's like playing Scum with Fortnite graphics. Everything is super vibrant. You see players in every bush. Like, it's so easy to see everyone. The nights are brighter than normal players daytime. It's horrible, and the people that use it don't really play Scum for how it is. It's just to get the most and the best PvP advantage. Like, it's not really enjoying it. It's just to see the enemy as clear as day. Is there any plans to ban reshade?
So here's the thing. Uh, Reshade is not only reshade. Reshade can be achieved through multiple ways, right? Some monitors even have inbuilt function of it into them, same as some monitors have a crosshair on it.
Hmm.
And then even Windows has its own setting where you can change it around, and it's really hard to detect. And then outright banning it would it really it's not really possible.
Well, it is a
We
third
are
party
aware of it.
program, is it not?
It is,
Because
but
just to give an example, because I use NVIDIA control panel and there I can like use the gamma and stuff like that. But it's honestly, like, compared to reshade, it's not even close. Like, I can get it pretty bright, but that
but
reshade is just wild.
what I'm saying is that is not the proper fix here. The proper fix here is we have to take our time and start digging into the engine to make sure that even reshade or something like that could not work. in the game, because we also hated the when we changed the night back in 2019 or 2020. I think it was somewhere around end of 2019. Somebody's gonna fact check me on that, and I'm perfectly fine with being wrong on that one right now. We did have brighter nights, and we decided to have strong, like darker nights, because we do want to get that feeling of, look, hey, it's night. There's no light source anywhere unless you are either incredibly lucky or you bought the night vision goggles that have batteries for it, or you decide to give out your position away by seeing with a flashlight or a torch or something like that. Uh, we would rather look into it and have a proper solution right now, especially right now as we're approaching full release, and then we make sure that everything is right down, than to plaster on another band-aid that in like a week or 2 weeks time, a lot of the players that are using it are just gonna find a workaround around it, and then it's just like resources and time wasted. We know it's a nuisance. We hate it as well. I personally hate it the most because playing at night is one of my favorite joys, especially like sneaking a route, and
Yeah.
you know that phrase, "We own the night," and then using it to your tactical advantage.
Yeah.
But
It's basically cheating. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Like it's cheating. You can't really enjoy night because people out there will see you. You can't sneak up like you say. You can't really do anything, and it doesn't matter if it's they don't even have to take it that bright. They'll just use the vibrance and everything, make everything super vibrant, and then they see you through all the bushes and everything. I have a add-on question to that later, but I think it's better to do it now, because other games have it so you not possible to use gamma or reshade or stuff like that. It's built into the engine, like you said. Uh, are you any close to achieving that? So the actual nights are like dark, like you said, because you have everything you need to make a torch. That you make a knife, cut some bushes, you cut your clothing. You can make a torch perfectly fine. Like you have all the tools, so it's not a problem. Are you far along the road to making the nights dark? So reshade and other programs like that and monitors and stuff cannot work in Scum.
it's more of an engine thing. Unreal, especially Unreal 4, is a wonderful, horrible beast. Especially when you're doing a project on it like Scum, which is like a huge game with a lot of things in it. Um, so we have to look into possible solutions and then make sure that it's not interfering with everything else, like I said. And if we're close to it or not, I couldn't tell you right now.
Okay.
What I can do and what I will do is nudge the programmers here and there, see if we can move it along a little bit more.
Yeah, basically put it up higher in priority, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is higher on priority right now as well, but there's things that are currently on the
Yeah.
highest priority as well. Yeah.
Understandable. Next question. It's an interesting one. It's not really a PvP question, but I think a lot of people will enjoy this question, and it's about a mini game, and the question is poker, blackjack, and gambling. Is there any plans to add any sort of gambling into the game? I know there is countries that do not allow video games with gambling, and it makes it difficult. But gambling is kind of like a fun little mini game to play against friends, and it's also a way to make money. But there is games like GTA who has gambling in it, and it can be played all around the world mostly. Is there any plans to implement gambling?
We did have talks about it, like adding card games into Outposts and stuff like that, and we like I'm honestly up for it, and the Pong is up for it, Matovsky, but like I said, resources and priorities. Uh, somebody has to make it and implement it, right? So until we get the core, the highest priority, highest focus right now is getting the core features nailed down and ready for 1.0, 1.0, 1.0.
Yes.
That's the highest priority for us right now. And then if we have time and have resources left over, you can see we might get it in, if not somewhere down the line after 1.0. Nobody's against it. Like we all played Red Dead Online, and we all know how fun that is. Just
Oh
sitting
yeah.
down with your friends, having a bottle of whatever liquor you want in real life right next to your desk, and carting
Oh yeah.
away into the night, right? And it fits into the game as well. So it's not a question of if, it's a question of when.
Okay. Well, that is awesome to hear. I think a lot of people are happy about that. Moving on to a very big question, and a lot of people are wondering the movement rework. So right now, as most people are aware, the running in Scum is extremely fast. Um, the jumping, the bunny jumping, everything is so fast in a game that is super realistic and kind of slow. It's one of the slowest. Let's say if you have the top three, which is Scum, Rust, and DayZ, it is the slowest survival game out there. But the PvP is like Rust basically. You move so fast, you bunny jump everywhere, you third person peek through bushes and everything. How is the movement rework really going? Like, can you tell anything about the speed being reduced, running with gear? Like, is there any impact from running with gear? Change of direction, because changing of direction in Scum is like super fast. Like it's like a flick of a second and you're moving into the other direction. There's no like delayed or like any swinging or anything like it is in real life. How is the movement rework going?
Well, with the movement rework, yeah, PvP turned out with the bunny hopping and all that. What I can tell you is what will give you the guarantee that you will see it is uh that Apong, our creative director, got killed by guys bunny hopping one too many times, and now he is on it as well. So don't worry about it. You're not alone into it.
That is good. That is
Uh,
good.
but we do not want to nerf it that much where it becomes a nuisance to going anywhere on foot when you're just moving around the map without a vehicle, because like we said, most players actually do not have a vehicle,
Yeah.
and then slowing that gameplay down too much would just be a little bit of a nuisance with the size of the map that we have, and then you don't have a vehicle, and you work 9 to 5 and you only have 2 hours of gaming left, your children are
Oh yeah.
screaming at you. We have to take that into consideration as well.
Have you thought about, I don't know how much you can say, but have you thought about giving more stamina? So basically, you slow down the sprinting speed. Maybe you make it into like a stamina thing where you can only sprint for a certain amount of time and then you have to jog again. Basically, increase the endurance but reduce the time for running, basically. You know what I'm
We
saying?
have a couple of solutions on the table right now. We gotta see all of them in action and then decide on which one we're gonna go for.
Okay. Understandable, understandable. Moving on to the next question. This is a big one, very big one. Hip fire accuracy. Hip fire in this game is, to me, so horrible gameplay, but it is sadly the meta right now. The meta for PvP is basically third person running hip firing. It's super accurate. I have my most viewed clip on Twitch is a guy in a mushroom running no scoping with his SVD, one of my teammates, and hitting on like a 80 meter to 100-meter distance. It is incredibly accurate, and also together with advanced rifling and strength, it is insane. Is there being worked on a rework for the hip fire as well?
Um, I mean, if you have advanced rifling and huge strength, stuff like that, then yeah, you are going to be incredibly accurate with no issue, right? Uh,
Well, the problem is that you're running at the same time. You're not standing still and holding hip fire. You're actually
yeah,
running at the same time together with basically like if you take it real life, nobody's gonna do that to be accurate. And also keep in mind that you are in third person, and because you use a crosshair, even though you're like angled in third person, you're not straight behind. You know what I mean? Like you're in a left shoulder or you're in a right shoulder. And just because you have a crosshair, you can easily just behind a bush or whatever, behind a wall, like swing around, running, hip fire everyone. So
yeah.
yeah,
There are a couple of I know specifically for that one. The hipfire game designers have approached me as well to see like what we can do about it. Because in case you guys don't know, I'm the biggest fanatic of all thing like tactical shooters and stuff like that. Um, to see what the solution might be. Um, if you have advanced, but even though you do have advanced rifling and you do have high strength, you will be able to hip fire more accurately than when not. As for the meta of running with hip fire and firing like that, we are looking into it. It's currently not on the highest priority because, like I said, priorities are right now on core features and all of that, and this one also takes into account of different animations for it and different ballistics for it because it's not just increasing the cone of the spread because that's just going to look ridiculous and there are going to be many issues of it. And yeah, don't have much more details on it.
okay,
If
understandable.
you can tell that I'm avoiding it a little bit, it's because I am, because I don't have that much details on it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
be straight up with you
yeah.
guys.
All good, all good. It's better to know that you can't really give that much details on it. Uh, Moving on to a couple of bugs. These are kind of quick ones. There is a blueprint bug at the moment. I haven't experienced it, but all my teammates said this is a bug. We're experiencing it all the time. It's basically you log into the game, and to be able to run, you have to make a blueprint. Are you aware of that bug? And is there any, how to say, news on it being fixed in future updates?
I think but this has been reported to the the QA guys. It's reported, and I can check if it's going to be fixed
Okay.
next update or not, but have to be in the office for it as well.
Yeah. Together with that darkness bug, this has been annoying me the most. This is you go underneath the door frame in your base, and your screen becomes completely black. And
Like textures.
it's like let's say you make a base and use a normal base building door frames and stuff like that, and you go underneath the door frames and your whole screen becomes black. You have to like move around, especially when you have a lot of door frames around. You're stacking your door frames, stacking your doors, so they have to pick more doors and stuff like that. Basically, going around your base at night, the whole base becomes just like completely dark. It used to be a bug back when you had cabins. You went into your cabin and everything became completely dark. And this is now a bug with the door frames.
This sounds to me like it could be connected to DFAO, distance field ambient occlusion. So it might be something else that the QA guys have more details on, but it sounds to me that it's one of those issues. So disabling DFAO in your settings could quickly be a quick fix for it.
I think I have it
Uh,
disabled. Most PvPers, me including, have everything disabled. The only thing we have on is basically like I have epic texture settings, streaming speed is epic, and yeah, that's about it.
Then I would like to record a video and send it over to you guys in QA and have a
Yeah,
look at it.
I think a lot of people can do that, and I can probably do it as well. I probably have some recordings of it, me being in the base.
It might be that they already know it and reported it, and I'm just, giving them double
Yeah,
reports right
it's
now.
been there a
But
long time, so I hope somebody reported it. And if not, I think people have been lazy about it, or maybe thought that somebody else already reported it. Another bug. This is the last bug for now. BCU model upload bug has been happening recently, where a bunker opens and it's been closed for some days, and you go there when the bunker opens, and there's not been anyone there recently. Together also with like opening it with the keycard, and there has not been anyone in it. You try to upload, but it doesn't work. Are you aware of this bug?
um, I have to check because you have to take into account that on the spot, for me, I'm not sure if that's the one that's already been reported, if that's the live bug or an internal
Yeah.
bug, because for every bug that you guys have in your mind, I have around 50 of it. Because if it's reported or anywhere on our Steam or any of the bug reports and all that, our QA guys probably already reported it and sent it
All
on
right,
its
all
way
right.
to the triage.
Understandable. Here we go back to another big one. This kind of goes together also a little bit with hipfire. Um, Full auto recoil, basically recoil for ARs, idle sway for aiming. Right now, ARs are like laser beams. Like you don't really need advanced plus rifling. You have advanced plus rifling, then it's absolutely wild. But just having advanced rifling, it's you can full auto a AK like 100 meters away without a problem, just because you have a P223 scope, and you're just beaming everyone. It doesn't take much skill to it, and together with that, just sniping in general, there is no weapon sway. Like PvP and Scum right now is kind of like playing Call of Duty. You have a super advanced survival game, which is very realistic in all the aspects. It's a slower and more like realistic type of game. But then you get to the PvP, and it's like, because of the movement is super fast, which is being reworked, but together with the weapons as well, the meta is basically AK with drum mag or M2, because you have the most bullets, because everything is so stable, and especially with the P223 scope or any scope, it's a laser beam. Is there any plans of reworking the recoil system and the weapon sway and things like this?
So this is a two-layered answer to it. One of the answers you already touched upon is the movement rework. Uh, for an example, let's say that we add more recoil and stuff like that. Do you think it would be easier or harder for you to deal with bunny jumpers right now and stuff like that? So we wouldn't touch it until we get the movement rework down, and then we can start, because you put in such realistic features, stuff like that, and aiming at really fast mobile targets is going to be even harder. Second one is from the technical standpoint. We have experimented with it and stuff like that. Animations are the key issue here, where you really have to fine tune it and make sure that everything looks great in first person, that everything looks great in third person, and then everything looks great in third person when another player is looking at you when firing the weapon and all that. It's all connected into a same little blob that actually gives you the recoil effect in the game and the way that you experience shooting. There's like a lot of like sinus curves in engine that you have to adjust to it and stuff like that. Um, we do plan on enhancing it and having like a little bit more, the gun having a little bit more of a effect, a kick to it when firing it, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I think it should, because it's such a realistic game. But like the PV, like even though you have advanced rifling, like it's an AK, like it has a lot of recoil, right? If you, especially if you full auto. I've been in the military. I tested a lot of guns. I'm a pretty big and strong guy, and I can hold a full auto. But like in terms of holding a full auto accurate, it's extremely difficult, and especially when you get up to the higher caliber 7.62. it should be more difficult. Even though you're reworking movement to make it slower, it still should be difficult to full auto a gun at someone and accurately hit the bullets, you know?
Yeah, and you're right about that. But again, like I said, it's there's also a huge thing about the balance about it is, uh, would you guys really like us to implement that before the movement rework is in, and then you have to deal with that and a person body hopping away, or get the movement rework in first and then get the guns a bit more realistic so you have that nice realistic gameplay properly, right? Because if you put in realistic, uh, more realistic gun gameplay into it and stuff like that, with the movement that it is right now, nobody's gonna have fun. Trust me, nobody's gonna have fun. We tried it out, we tested it, and stuff like that, and it's you're not gonna hit anybody unless they're like 2 meters in front of you. So, um, we do plan on enhancing the gunplay and the auto into it and stuff like that. For an example, it's bad taste to talk about like other games and all that, but I remember a certain big tactical shooters when they did a complete overhaul of how their infantry combat works. Whoever plays it knows what I'm talking about. Uh, and they didn't take into account all the other things that were happening in the game, and a lot of people hated it. And the feedback was horrible. So we want to avoid that scenario and make sure we get it right in a right order, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's. I was thinking about it when you was talking now. I think it's very hard to debate what is the best to implement first, because you have right now, if you were to implement the movement first, and not do anything with the guns, it would be extremely easy to, how to say, use the guns because there's so little recoil and people are moving slow. You would have to play more tactical, but it would be very easy. But if you reworked the guns first and then did movement, it would be impossible to hit people. So it's, I think it's both
Exactly.
things are extremely hard. So it, you can argue both pretty well. You kind of just have to pick, and movement rework first. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's better. Um, Next question: dial locks and normal locks. Is there any other ways that you have planned to be able to break these locks? Because right now you have, for doors you have explosives, but for chests, wardrobes, cars, etc., you don't really have anything else. You have to either lockpick it or you have to open the die lock. Like there's no other solution. Uh, like my ideas for it, quick ideas is just, for example, rebar cutter. Maybe that has some tries to break the lock. Make that a raid tool, or a raid saw with limit, like everything with limited uses. Basically, made them raid tools. So you don't have to sit there and try the die lock, or you have to sit there and try to lockpick it if you're not that good of a lockpicker. You have other ways to break it. Is there any plans on that?
Uh, Currently, no. Don't expect anything before 1.0. After 1.0 is out, we can look into maybe having a little bit more options for it. But for now, it's going to stay the way it is.
Okay. Uh, Anti-cheat. I saw
Oh, here we
recently.
go.
Yeah, here we go into the deep stuff. Anti-cheat. I saw Tomislav recently posted about it on Twitter/X as well. He was pretty pissed off with cheaters. Like he knew it was bad, but he didn't know it was this horrible. Um, you know, for me, I love officials. It's where I started Scum, and it's deep in my heart. And I really want to play official. It's a special feeling. It's, you don't have to deal with any admins. There's no rules. Only rule is don't cheat, and that's about it. And it's freedom to do whatever you want, and you can be anonymous as well. There's nobody that can find you. Nothing about your Steam ID. No, nothing. If you act outrageous, of course, cheats or are very disrespectful, and yeah, you can get banned. But overall, it's a lot of freedom. but I cannot play official servers just because of the cheating problem. Because you do spend so much time in this game, and just for some cheater to hop on his computer and Harry Potter your vehicle out of your base, it's pretty heartbreaking. How is the work for the anti-cheat going?
We are investing more and more into it. For obvious reasons, I can't go into details. First obvious reason is I don't want to give out any details to have cheat makers ready and prepared
Okay.
for when those are going to be implemented to go around it. Uh, we are looking in multiple solutions, but what we can do, and I really want to say it because it would give you guys a lot of hope, but I can't say it due to like this is a bit of a like a more of a business secret and stuff, all of that.
Yeah, it's understandable.
And it's not a sure thing. But we are. Let me put it this way: we are looking into other options. I don't think I'm giving away anything directly that way, but
I
it
think
could
that
hint.
is I think that is fine. Another question. Let me drag. I have something to show as well. This is a little bit of a. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. There we go. There I'm popping up. The question is about NoobTube, or better known as the grenade launcher. Right now, the damage is pretty high, and the meta as well. I talked about a lot about meta, but noob tubes are so strong, especially for raiding. Spamming the noob tube, it does so much damage. It's not really like it's not even damaging. It just kills you straight off the bat, and you can spam it, and it's a big decider in raids basically, and also in PvP. Like it's extremely good. So first question for that is there any plans to rework the damage or reduce it, or any type of plans for that?
It's a 50-50 subject for right now for us internally of what we can do to it and with it and what we should do with it. Uh, I mean, in an ideal situation like that, we would like maybe add fragmentation actually being in the game, and it depends on if the shrapnel will hit you or not and stuff like that. Uh, but not currently. Maybe looking into a balancing of how easy it is to acquire grenade launchers and how easy it is to actually acquire uh, grenades for it. But that's something that you have to leave feedback on our Steam forum and on other platforms so that we can collect it and then pass it on to our game designers and then see uh, how much of an impact it actually is. So make sure you leave it on our general forum and stuff like that, and then we can collect all of that feedback and then pass it on to game designers.
I think
Uh,
I think that's one of the critiques for PvP players, because I this is one thing I do think PvE players are better at. They're better at leaving complaints and basically feedback to the developers in general. I
well,
think PvP community, they do give feedback, but a lot of things I think they expect a lot of others to do as well, so it doesn't get basically posted as
well,
feedback.
it also depends on how you post your feedback, right?
Yeah.
The thing that like a lot of PvP players that don't act all innocent because I know you all do it. I know you all do it, and the reason I know you all do it because I used to do it when I was like in high school and all stuff. You don't leave feedback with just like, hey, I would have an issue with this and this and this. The impact of it is this and this and that. The feedback that the most like a lot of PvP guys live, hey, this is bullshit, and then it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do with this information? Give me some more details, please.
Please elaborate on what's the bullshit.
Yeah. So, once we get the more feedback that you guys leave, and then articulate of what the actual issue is and stuff like that, we can look into it and then find a solution to it.
Another question for the grenade launcher, and I don't think anyone thought about this, but me and my free time, the little I have, I spend a lot of times looking through Tomislav's Twitter of all the pictures and everything that's been posted. Because there was a time where I used to really look at everything, and it was really fun to see what's coming for the game. Even though a lot of stuff hasn't come, but it's still exciting. On this picture that I'm showing, there is pictures of a flashbang, a smoke grenade, and full impact grenade. And then I don't know what the last grenade is. There's 4 grenades, but I can name 3 of them: smoke, flashbang, and impact grenade. Then I don't know the last one. Is there plans to add more grenade launcher ammo types?
There were plans for it. The last one you're thinking about would be CS gas, so tear gas.
Okay.
But it's like I said, it's not something that it's high on priority for us right now. Eventually, yeah. We probably will implement more types to it. But yeah.
Okay. Let me see if I can find this. Because it's about the cars. Took a picture of it today. Let me just read you up the question and then I'll pull it up. What happened to the police cars, the fire trucks, the ambulances? There was posted pictures of this, and everybody used to love the SUV police car. It was so fun to do, running around policing the server. And even one of the creators, Kitchma, named the squad after SIPD, the police Scum police department. Here we go. Here's a picture of it. Is there any plans to bring this back? Because this was posted and everybody was so excited and everybody's missing these cars. But we haven't really seen anything about that more. It's been quite a while since any updates was given about that. Is there any news on that?
So yeah, those are planned as like a more or less a modular attachments or options for both the police version, and for those of you that know Croatian behind it, that's the fire brigade version, the red one. But the issue became with the ever so popular modular vehicles becoming a lot more complicated than where we thought they would be when we started them. And then, according to community feedback, we switched all of our focus to first implement all of our old vehicles back. For example, we already have the pickup back, the planes are back, the motorbike are back, the cruisers next, stuff like that. And then because we have again limited number of people, and then once those parts and those modular parts and those modular systems are in place, then we can start adding in more modular parts for the police versions, for the fire brigade versions, or any other versions that could be in the game and would be cool. So yeah, I mean, on your picture right there, you already have the answer with Pong with red hair.
Soon, TM.
Soon. Yeah.
Add on to that, I saw an interesting one in chat that I just managed to read. Seaplane. Is there any news on that being added back?
Like we said in the Q&A, yes, it's going to be back. We're still looking into it if we want to implement it back as a modular part for the regular plane, so you can transform it into a seaplane, or implement it back as a separate plane as well. We're still tossing the coin on that one.
Yeah, okay. Could I get a quick answer for just like so it's summed up for the police and the fire? What did you go? Fire? Not department.
Fire brigade.
Brigade.
Yeah, fire
brigade.
department, fire brigade.
Yeah. If that is coming back before or after, or if it's even coming back, just a quick summed up answer.
Summary of it is after all of the vehicles modular vehicles are back in the game, implemented in the game, we can start implementing the variations and versions of those modular parts. For an example, the police, the fire brigade, and any other that could be interesting.
Okay, great. I think that was everybody understood that, and it was quick and easy for everyone. So there's no more questions about that. Moving on. This is about customizable guns, basically. Right now, you have a certain types of scopes. You have two different types of holographics, a couple different types of red dots. You have the vampire scope. In my opinion, is horrendous. I absolutely despise that scope. It's so horrible. And it doesn't really work that well. When I tried it with battery, it might be changed, but when I tried it with battery, the night vision was just extremely bright, even though it was night. And you have the P223 and you have the M82 scopes. Is there any plans for more customizations, like a grip, a laser, more scopes, more customizable scopes, like from 1 to 4 to 6, a little bit more than what we have right now? Is there any plans?
There are plans. There are definitely plans to add it. There are technical difficulties with it. For an example, grips. There's a technical difficulty of we have to implement support from programming side for the game to recognize whether or not you have the grip, and then from the animation side to adjust the animation properly. And then you have cases of, for example, you constantly take off and put the grip back on. The animation might break, stuff like that. Lasers have their own technical difficulty right now from the programming side. We did want to implement them really, really early on, like a year or 2 years ago, but there's something in the engine and the way that it's set up. It's really, for some reason, it's really difficult to make the laser center where you're pointing it. So you would constantly be thinking you're aiming some way, but you would actually shoot another way. So yeah, those are planned. We do want more customizability on our own, on the weapon systems and stuff like that. We just have to iron out all those technical difficulties. Uh, Again, it's all being done by the same programmer that is also doing the NPCs and the ballistic system as well.
Yeah.
That guy cannot get a break.
It's understandable. It's understandable. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Pull up my list here again. This is another one. Grenades. Right now, grenades, you throw them and it's very stiff. And they do not roll as well. Like, it's like almost a Semtex. It's just, it doesn't stick to the wall. It's just like, you throw it and click, that's where it stays. It makes it kind of hard to really like throw it above walls and just throw it in general. And how to say, they kind of like, the time for it to explode as well, it's pretty fast. So it's like you throw it, lands on the ground, and then it blows up pretty fast. Like, in the combination of it all, it's pretty stiff. Is there any plans to rework that?
It's not the grenade rework that you were talking about. Actually, it's the physics of the
Yeah, well, the
grenade.
physics, yeah.
Yeah, and coding and reworking physics takes time. So there are plans to improve it. It's just gonna take time.
Understandable. This is a kind of a funny and big question from everyone. The camo skill. What's the news on that? Right now, it's to a lot of people, most people, it doesn't make sense to really have it. Like, disappearing out of thin air, that don't make sense in a realistic game. But I had a take on it from a friend named Nilmo, and he said that maybe if you do it so, like, if you have advanced camo skill, the opacity of your character becomes somewhere along the lines of 70% or something like that, 65, whatever that may be. It was an interesting take because I hadn't really thought about it that way. I only thought like disappearing out of thin air, that makes no sense. Camo skill makes no sense. But is there any news to what will happen with the camo skill? Will it stay? Will it disappear? What is the outcome of that?
Well, okay, so here's the thing, and I have to say this again. Camo skill currently does not work. It's disabled in the game, so people who are saying that camo skill is way overpowered in the game right now is like, well, it's not in the game right now.
Yeah,
Second thing
that's true.
is, the second thing is, what you're talking about is actually something that we are talking about internally right now as well. We'll see if it's possible from the technical side. But that's all the info I have on it right now. We
Okay.
are talking about we are thinking in a similar wavelengths on that way.
Okay. This is I spoke to a lot of people, and someone told me that the way I phrased this question hasn't really been asked before. It has more been asked as a extension, and that is the map. I'm not wondering if there will be an extension to the map, because I really think it's big enough as it is. It's quite massive. But is there any plans for after 1.0 to make a new map? Because right now you have, the map is great, but you have like all the different, I don't want to say season, but like you have snow, you have like deep green forest, you have like the more down south where it's like very warm, and like the beaches and everything where it's more dry. You have all the kind of seasons on the map, but some areas, like for example the snow, it's not that big for where the usage of, let's say, white clothing, unless you stay a lot up there, is that valuable, let's say, because a lot of people move a lot around the sectors to loot. You kind of have to, right? So is there any plans to make a new map, maybe only snow, or maybe a map that is no snow and just like a clean map? Because it makes sense to make a extra map later on. Maybe not right after 1.0, of course, but later along the lines. If you look at what other game, like you said, I won't mention the game, but there was another survival game that just came out with a map, and it's, to be honest, is just they took a modded map and made it their own, basically. So it's
The answer
free.
the answer to that question is that I like my job and I would like to keep it.
Okay, that's a short answer, basically, short and clear.
Yeah, that's that we're verging into territory that is not to be shared.
Understandable. Just to make the point of, for the people watching, it makes kind of sense. You can't say anything, which is understandable. But for me, it makes sense to do it later along the lines, because this other game company did this, and the amount of traction and income and everything in total is phenomenal. On Twitch, just the viewers is like 150,000 the first day it was put out. Like, it's only positive. So for the viewers watching, he can't talk about it, but there is reasons to think that this may be later along the lines, when the game is done, everything is optimized, there might come more maps, even if modding is added and everything. No more.
I would just like to add that he said that, I didn't.
I said that. BEDA did not say that. No developer ever said that. Just so we're clear. This is an interesting one. I haven't seen a lot of people speak about this. I spoke about it a little bit. My good friend Brick emphasized this a lot. Maybe bunker specific gear and material in terms of looting, because right now in Scum and all the POIs, you have it so you can kind of find everything around everywhere. There is nothing like really driving you to go a certain spot. There is some stuff, but it's not like a strong drive to go there, basically. Like, you can find everything you want in most sectors, if you include material. Is there any plans to, for example, the bunkers, make them have specific gears, maybe specific guns, like certain types of that makes people go to these bunkers, so you'll get in conflict of interest, basically, to drag people to one placed on the map to really fight over the loot, etc.
There are plans, and let me put it this way: it will all fall into place and all make sense and have a pretty good gameplay loop as we approach 1.0, and it's going to involve both quests and NPCs and all connected in that way. That's all I can say right now, but it is going to be something that you can look forward to, because I know the purpose of that question is because you also want to know, have players move to the same spot, increase the chances of PvP in
I
the
want to
open
kill
area.
'em.
So it's not, yeah, so it's not all mostly oriented over raiding and defending the raids. Yeah,
Yeah.
we are also thinking in the same way. We also want to achieve that by doing that. Our solution for it is to implement it through quests and stuff like that.
Yeah. This is another one. Smoke grenades. Right now, there is no really, I don't want to say purpose, but in terms of PvP, the smoke is not very thick. I haven't gotten into any situation where someone used a smoke grenade and it was useful, or I had to use a smoke grenade or anything. It's not very, it's not a thick smoke. You know what I mean? Is there any plans to rework the smoke grenade and actually make the smoke thick and good for PvP settings? Let's say you're fighting in an open field and you have to get out of that situation. You're in a bad spot, and then you can use smoke grenades to get out.
Yeah. The issue is optimization specifically for the particle system. We experimented with a little bit of a thicker smoke and stuff like that, but the performance dropped drastically, and it taxed the game a little bit too much. So it always reminds me of a comment that I saw of a YouTube video on one of the World War II games that I like to play. Is nobody told me in history class that during D-Day the Allies used heavy usage of smoke to drop the FPS of the Germans. One of my favorite comments that I have ever seen. And we don't like, performance is one of the big things, right?
Yeah.
So we have to optimize the particles of the smoke first before we can increase the number of particles and actually have the smoke fulfill the air and give you better concealment to move away from the engagement or towards the engagement, depending on what you're doing in that scenario, right? So
Gotcha.
we need to take care of it from the technical standpoint, and then we can have better smokes.
Interesting. Ooh, this is and I think I'm hitting the spot for a lot of people here, not just PvPers. Next question is building stability, because right now you can make a pretty big base, and let's say you make a square base, and on the outside you want to build something extra. Let's say you want a honeycomb bit or whatever. You build a triangle outside on your modeler, and you're like, fuck no, that's wrong. I have to destroy this, place it elsewhere. You destroy that element, and the whole section of that wall falls down, and it's so much work. Has there been any work on? I've seen there coming new style of the building, and the hatch is coming, and everything. Has there been any thoughts and work onto the stability of building in terms of like destroying stuff where like not half the base collapses if you destroy one element, even though it's not the main element that holds it?
Yes. There is work going into improving the stability of it and stuff like that. It's a tricky one because you have to fine tune it to avoid situations where people can have, like mid-air bases and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it's a really, 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 it's an easy question with a complicated answer.
Yeah, I understand. A lot to take into accountability. Um, pain points. That's a big one, and I think for me and a lot of other people, fame points is a big hassle, because the point of fame points is to show the most so-called famous player on the island, the best player out there who is the most biggest badass. But in reality, fame points works for the trader, and it works for raiding. And when you get killed in this game, not only is it punishable, you lose a lot of fame as well. Like it's still a big percentage, and it doesn't really showcase the most famous and the best player, because you can be as careful as you want, but you will eventually get killed to ambushes and stuff like that. Like it's hard for a PvPer to maintain high fame points to use the trader and to raid, because you will end up dying. Like when you are PvPing and not playing carefully all the time, you will eventually end up dying a lot. And for us to use the trader, it's pretty hard. Uh, is there any news or any rework to where you don't lose that much fame from dying, especially to players, and so you can actually like use the traders? Because right now people are just using alt accounts. Like I know you have the quests where you can gain fame points and stuff like that, but the solution for a lot of people is one alt account, go to the nuclear zone, get the uranium, craft the bullets, and you have 400 fame, and put that account in the trader, and that's the trader account. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the thing is, there's never going to be a perfect system that you cannot exploit with alt accounts, and that goes for any game, especially any multiplayer game.
Yeah.
Of that nature, right? Um, there has to be some consequence to death as well. Otherwise, you will have something that we had before, where people will just keep respawning and going back into the fight, and respawning and keep going back to the fight, and having no consequence to it whatsoever. So there has to be some harsh penalties to it as well. So will you see reduced loss of fame points on when getting killed? Not likely, but the issue here is not losing the fame points. The issue here is gaining them back. And you don't want to give the player the option to regain them time wise back so easily, so they can just keep going back into the fight, get them back, keep going back into the fight, get them back. It's the quests here are one of our solutions, and we will see how it all influences on the game and the gameplay loop once the quests and the NPCs are in, and see how that is going to factor in. Because if you're in a fight, you're in a raid or something like that, and let's say you lose half all of your fame points, but then you know that you can, I don't know, finish free quests, get enough fame points back that you still have a good standing with the trader and continue playing your game, all of that, then that's a pretty good solution to the problem. The other thing is, traders have never and will never, like, getting the gear from the traders was never the main purpose of the main focus. It turned out that way for a period of time because it's development, and then always some build balances shift left and right depending on what you're implementing and releasing next, right? The main loot source could be and always will be, once 1.0 releases and in the gameplay loop, will be actually looting. That will be your main source of loot.
I think fame points, the biggest reason for fame points for people is vehicles. Because I think it's fine to have a lot of fame points to be able to buy a vehicle, but in terms of getting the parts, it takes a lot as well. So even if you find a vehicle, it's so hard to even be able to buy the parts. And then especially when the parts are so heavy to carry, let's say it's the door, it's a seat, you can find that all those parts, and by the time you get it, all those parts to the vehicle you wanted to get, that can be taken by someone else who had the vehicle already and can just drive all the parts over there. So I think a big reason for the problem with the fame point is the vehicles, like the parts and everything.
I mean, the biggest part right now is the engine. That's the only vehicle part that you can't find in the world, that you have to go to the trader to get it. All the other parts are actually quite acquirable in the junkyard POI. So you are always guaranteed to find a lot of parts there. The issue with the acquiring fame points for the vehicles and stuff like that is you have to take into account the other parts of balancing. Let's say that we increase, it's really easy to get fame points for the vehicle parts and then or stuff like that. And then let's say you start fresh on the server. Let's say there's a private server that decided to wipe, but decided to stay, the gold stays. All that would happen would be that all of the players that have a lot of gold would regain fame points quite easily, and then before anybody else would manage to do anything else, just buy all the vehicles immediately from the traders with the gold they amassed and the fame points they amassed.
That
So there's a
brings
lot of
me.
balancing here that
Yeah, that kind of brings me into my follow-up question, which is kind of brings me over to the quests. Because we've seen the quests that you get items cheaper at a discount, you get fame. I had a thought on it, as same with other people. Are you planning to make it so doing a quest, it doesn't only give you discount, it actually unlocks the item you want to buy. So people can't just join a server, get a bunch of fame easily, fast, and get money and buy whatever they want. They actually have to do the quest to be able to unlock certain stuff at the trader. For example, trader parts, especially ammo, different types of ammo, guns, and stuff like that. I think that would be a very good way to slow down the process and also the use of the traders, because I think you guys have the same vision as the traders. You don't want people living out of just the traders. You want people to go out and loot. Is there any plans on making the quests so you actually unlock items to buy, or is it only that you get them discounted?
so nothing is certain. That is one of the ideas, but nothing is set in stone yet. It all depends on how it influences everything else. So that's more something that the game designers are still deciding and working on. So we'll see once it drops and everything like that on how everything will work out.
Okay. Uh, Another one. After 1.0 releases, is there any plans for mod support on setting up your own dedicated servers without having to rent one for 200 plus euros?
Uh, no information on it yet. We definitely know that it's not gonna happen before 1.0.
Yeah, I was thinking about after, especially because it is pretty expensive to run servers right now. I have my own server with just 25 slots where we do scrims, and I do all my cinematics. I recreate the bases and I do the cinematics and everything. And it costs a lot just for 25 slots. It's pretty wild. So to run like high populated server with, let's say, 80 to 90 players, even up to 100, it's super expensive. I think this is a big one for a lot of server owners, because right now there is not that many servers for Scum as it used to be. There's multiple reasons for that, but one of the reasons is also that it's quite expensive if you don't have the donors for it. But for
Um,
yeah,
yeah, my answer is for unfortunately currently that's all our answer for it is before 1.0 uh because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, including that we always mention the tainted feedback, the security of the game,
mm,
stuff like that that we have to take into account, and then focus 1.0, and then after that we can look into like more and more what we can give to the community and how it will fit in.
yeah. Um, Next question is barbed wire. So barbed wire has been the damage, or the health, rather say, has been decreased a lot. It used to be 600, and it used to be crazy good, and now it's down to 100. But it's still pretty good, because even though it's 100 HP, if you have advanced engineering, which a lot of people do have, um, it takes you 9 scrap, 3 units of barbed wire, and 1 unit of a toolbox to make 1 barbed wire. So it's quite easy to take a hiking backpack. This is one thing we do as a big PvP squad. We have backpacks with this ready in the base when we get raided. And whenever we do get raided, we just spam these barbars because it's so easy to make. Is there any plans on getting a tool to basically cut these barbed wires instead of having to use grenades or TNTs? Because it's quite horrible to use grenades and TNTs because they're valuable raid resources, and you're using it on something that is so easy to make during a raid. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, we will see. We will see. It's not on the agenda right now, but after all the core features are done, we will see into having the same with the lockpicking question for chests and all that, having more options for it. Uh, After all of the core features are done, we can look into enhancing all of the old features as well.
Okay. Same goes for there's been quite a while now. It's not as big as a problem as it used to be because the spike traps have been reduced and damaged, but they can still be bugged into foundations. Is there any news on that being fixed, or is that not a priority at the moment?
Uh, don't have information on it right now.
Okay.
We'll have to see on the list on whether it's solved or not.
Got you. And you're not at the office, you can't really check that either.
No,
That's fine.
no.
This is another one, and I experienced it recently, and without me having to say it, it seems to be turning into the new meta now. It happened also to a friend of mine called PTR and it's cutting bushes and trees that they do not basically render as cut for players if you, for example, you respawn or you're out of the area when they were cut. Recently, I came home from work and I come home to my team trying to defend against a full 10-man stack, and it's not going good. And by the time I get back to the base, they're basically kicked out of the base, and the enemy has taken control of the base. I get over there, I manage to get in a bush and kill 4 people, but then eventually I get killed. And when I do come back to the base, I come back to them cutting all the bushes and trees, and they did quite a lot of cutting until we managed to get back to the base. Basically, so all the bushes and the trees around the base are cut, and they can see you straight through everything, but everything is there still for you. And I think the biggest issue about that is it's not only that they see you like clear as day and you can't hide behind anything. It's the fact that if you cut the tree, the tree is not there for them. They can go through it and they can shoot through it. The tree is there for you. You cannot go through it and you cannot shoot through it. It's basically like having walls that you can see through and shoot through, but the enemy can't. It's so horrible, and it seems to be becoming the meta because the same happened to him during a raid. The whole forest is cut down, and when you get there, it's like there's nothing you can do. There's so big bushes and trees, like you can't do anything. Is there any plans to change this so actually like the engine alerts the players files and actually makes it so the trees and the bushes are cut when you get there?
So that's the issue with the replication in the game and the engine in it. So in order to do that, the server would have to constantly send data packets to every single client about the status of every single tree and bush in the game. And do I don't have to explain how much that would influence both the performance and the lag of the server and the lag of the client towards the server. It would just be so much load on the server of the data packets that it would tank the performance completely. Because if somebody wants to go out there and count every single tree and bush in the game that we currently have in the game, go ahead and do it. I'm not doing it. But we are looking into maybe constantly looking to maybe having some sort of a solution to it and all that, but it's more of a performance issue of how we're going to do it in a way that it's not going to tax the server, that it's not going to tax the networking. Uh, do we do it maybe like locally, maybe check around every player, but then you also have 64 players on the map on a full official server, and then you achieve nothing with it because it's still a lot of data packets that need to be uh, sent constantly by checking when you're running through the woods and all of that. Now imagine having all of those data packets that have to be sent when driving through the woods, and somebody cut down all the woods. It could crash the server completely.
Yeah, I
We
think it's isn't it wouldn't it be the same as, let's say you logged out outside a bunker and you log in again, and you basically have to load that bunker door opening if someone's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If
and
that
then it
was
opens
locally.
up again and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
And that would
But
basically crush the server if it had to do that for everyone going into an area.
so there's it's a huge technical issue that there is no technology right now in Unreal that could fix it. Um, we can look into creating our own, which we have done for a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't even know about. That we had to like the Unreal Engine that we use is so heavily modified that it's nearing the breaking point all the time, and we're constantly like amazed on how further we can push it before before it all falls apart together, right? Uh, and then we can like maybe see into solution though. It would, but I can't guarantee it because it's such a big issue. And again, core features and 1.0 are what takes the biggest priority for us right now.
Yeah, I understand. Right now, it's not the biggest issue, but I think people are understanding that it is becoming the meta because it happened to a couple of us now, so it might become a bigger problem in the future, and then there might be reasons to having to do some changes. I would say another thing with the bushes and stuff is will you start making noises when you start going through the bushes? Because you do that for yourself if you go through a bush, but for the enemy, there's no bush noises. You don't move slower, and there's no noises basically. Is there any plans to change that?
That is sometimes a networking bug where it doesn't replicate, and that is planned to be fixed. When it's gonna be fixed remains to be seen. But we are aware of that issue, and we are working on a fix.
But will you move slower through the bushes?
Uh, Definitely not before movement rework. After movement rework, we can look into it.
Okay. So basically, movement rework needs to be finished before we can go into the subjects of slower in different environments.
Yes.
That is understandable. This is a interesting one. The SKS. It was leaked 2 years ago, and it has not been any news on it ever since. We got the Scar, we got the M2, got a couple of different guns, but there's a lot of people wondering where the SKS is. Do you
It
have
was
any answers?
soon TM.
Oh no.
It was it was it was hinted at years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Prior other things took priority. Right now, we are going back to implementing other weapons. We didn't want to implement too many new weapons before we bring back malfunctions.
Yeah.
Because it would just add more and more backlog to us. For an example, right now, our animators and our programmers are working on implementing malfunctions to the weapons that arrive after we had to remove them due to the bugs. So the M249, the Scar, DMR, stuff like that. I need to get their own malfunctions ready. Once the malfunctions are back in, we can start implementing other weapons in. And I have been actually tasked during this stream as well to ask you guys, especially you guys in the PvP and all of that, what other guns you guys would like to see in the game. So make sure you get on our Steam forums and leave your feedback there for it as well.
I think that's a good thing to, when we're done with all the questions, to see what everyone in the chat has to say. That's a very good question. I just want to add on what you said, because you said it's not a priority, and you added a bunch of other guns. We saw recently pictures of the Mac 10, which was kind of posted similar times as SKS. So yeah, there are guns that are water pistols. Serious answers here, guys. Come on. But the Mac 10 is being added. Is that for the next update? Are you allowed to say that, or is that for 1.0?
Oh yeah, that's coming. I think that's coming in the next update.
Okay, confirmed. BEDA, take it to BEDA. Got it right now.
But the thing is that not the SKS didn't have a priority, is that the SKS is harder to implement than for an example, the SCAR.
Okay.
Because SKS has a similar mechanism as the M1 Garand, while the SCAR has only the mechanism of like an AR. You have a mag, you don't have a mag, or you chamber a single round, right?
Yeah.
The SKS has an internal magazine, and the option of an external magazine, the way that the M1 works with the clip. So that's more animations, more what you call it, variations for the programmers to do and stuff like that. So it's harder to implement than a SCAR. So that's why SCAR was so easier to implement, and the M249 as well, than the SKS.
Okay. I wanted to add on one a little bit more about rating. This was a question asked that I wanted to add in. Right now, if you look at it from a effectiveness standpoint, when you want to raid someone, the most effective way to get a hold of raid material, it is not C4s as it used to be. It's mostly TNT and grenades, and the reason for that is to be able to get a C4 full, you have to get all the first 2 keycards. You can shoot down mechs, but you will not get the packed C4s, so you still need the keycard. And basically, it's a slower process. You need to also defuse beepers, and also known as suicide puppets. It's a longer process than to just go to the coal mine, get some TNTs and grenades from the bunkers and so on. It's more efficient to just do that. Is there any plans to make, like, change raiding a little bit? Maybe reduce the TNT spawns and maybe make it easier for key cards or anything like that? Because right now the meta is grenades and TNT, because 2 TNTs is 1 C4 instead of having to collect 4 C4 parts. Like, C4 used to be the big thing, but now it's kind of like takes too much time. Is there any plans to change that, or is the raid meta kind of set for now?
That's up to the game designers and your guys' feedback. So the more feedback you guys leave, especially on our Steam forums and other platforms, the better the game designers can actually see it and then adjust it in the game as well. So it's up to you guys and your feedback and game designers on how that's gonna balance out.
Quick question for the Scar. I saw the video of the 5.56 Scar Lite being added, but it had the same sound as the Scar H. Is it gonna keep that same sound, or is it gonna get its own?
It's if you sound, I don't know how it went over to the stream. It's more of currently it's more of like a blend between other 5.56 platforms and the Scar DMR.
Okay.
Sorry.
It sounded very similar to the Scar we already have.
Yeah. Whether or not there are gonna be any more changes, that's the audio guy is in his little hiding hole working on it. So we'll see.
Zombies. There has been some pictures and talks about getting the sleeper zombies back in the house, and basically the zombies right now, they do spawn pretty much close to you, especially beepers. If you go to, for example, the airfield, and you open up one of the half moons, as we call them, you can see the zombies spawn right in front of you. How is the situation with the zombies? Is there anything you can say for the next update?
So the alpha build that we have right now, I was playing on it today a little bit, and it looks much better. So next update, you're going to see a lot of changes, both how puppets spawn and on the distance on the spawn as well. It will be a much better improved experience. So you guys really have a lot to forward to on that front.
Gotcha. Uh, is there any plans to implement a button to reduce the sounds? I have a Stream Deck, but that shit is expensive. But I can use it for Scum, which I do, to turn down the sound if I go into airplane or a car or anything loud. So I'm kind of saved for that part. But other people, they have to click escape, go into options, turn down the sound for every time they enter a plane or a car, or as you know, it keeps going. Is there any plans to implement a button to basically one click and it reduces the sound down to 20% or 30% or something?
Mm, I mean, if enough people request it, maybe, but it's something that would use the resources of our programmers that are currently so busy on working on other stuff. So I really don't know how to answer that
Okay,
one right now.
okay. All good. This is a kind of big one. As we spoke about before, Scum has a big cheating problem. Big one for officials. Admins on private servers can mostly keep away the cheaters that come from official. But I would say the bigger problem is good cheaters. It's the cheaters that normal people don't really understand as cheaters, because they leave their ego and they don't make that fatal mistake of giving away that they're cheating. They'll just use it biased, and it's really hard to basically find evidence of them cheating. You can tell like this guy is weird, this is suspicious, but you can't really pinpoint and show evidence for that. Is there any plans to implement a spectator mode for admins to really like view the cheaters from their standpoint, first person and third person?
Uh, that's already available for admins through different methods. So our logs pretty much show everything, right? Including kill location and where it was fired and where the victim was, where the killer was, stuff like that. So we do those checks a lot of the time, right? And then look through all the cases that was possible and videos and stuff, uh, and all of that. You also have to take into account, just because your immediate reaction is, no, that's bullshit. There's no way he could have saw me there and all of that. You have to take into account a lot of it. We do get, as much as we do get the valid reports of cheating, we do get a lot, and I mean a lot of false reports where
Yes.
there was no foul play as well. Especially in a video, the guy, we had so many videos of guys, no, there's no way that that guy saw me and all of that. And then we look into it closely. Then we look into logs and see all the players' positions. And then we found out that the guy that killed him had a buddy watching him through the window and kept calling him, giving him call outs like, hey, that guy's over there, just go and kill him, right?
Yeah. I,
Uh,
I've seen a lot of those reports, and a lot of them, or well, I would honestly say most of them are pretty unexperienced players, because there is a lot of them. You can see it on the official Scum page, and there's reports about anything,
Yeah, and
really
then
anything.
the bandwagon starts because like they see a case of a cheater actually being active, and they immediately in their mind, oh, that means that cheater killed me. Could it be me that's wrong? No, everybody else is wrong. Those cases as well. So, um, spectator mode for admins and all that, we already have the admin drone, and we give like a
Well,
lot of
it's
tools
a
to show.
spectator mode, not as admin drone. It's like actively, like let's say you're playing Call of Duty, and you die, then you're actually spectating your friend in their POV, point of view. It's not like
Yeah,
you can
but
see them, so you can actually see what they see. Because I
it's
do agree with you on like the amount of cheater reports. I do really get that, because I see so many of them, and I think to myself, what the fuck are these? They have no clue. But there's a lot of people in this game, especially that a lot of the high tier PvPers, that can say like, this guy is fucking weird. but we can't get any evidence on him because he doesn't really make vital mistakes and nothing to pinpoint. But you can there's no way. Like there's too much consistency here, and it's really hard for admins to really see that from the drone and everything. Like they can recreate stuff, but the easiest would be to be actually like spectate them live and see what they see.
So it's really you cannot compare features and the way that the game like Call of Duty and our game do stuff, right? Spectator mode, for an example, in Scum, where would that how would that footage be captured? When would you be able to play it? Who would have access to that footage? Would that tax the game? Would that tax the network? Would that tax the server with already so much data going on? Smaller FPSs that have those kind of like spectating in it, they don't really have those issues because all you have is map state, which is pretty small in most cases. You have player movement and hit detection, and that's pretty much it. And then, but in a game where you have persistent worlds, persistent items, persistent bases, data, skills, everything constantly being networked and communicated between client and server, adding the taxation of saved, I'm guessing in those cases saved spectator supports, because you don't want a player that got killed immediately be able to go into spectator and see how he got killed in a game like Scum. Because then what's the point of ambushing? What's the point of having a sniper position? What's the point of having clever gameplays when a guy would just immediately know where you are, and then bigger teams would even have even more advantage because you would get one guy, that guy would over Discord call out your position immediately to all the other guys. So there isn't really much incentive and sense to do spectating mode, but we do have other admin tools and logs and stuff available right now for admins to help them do those checks as well.
Okay, gotcha. Next question is fatal errors fixes. Is there anything to fix that? Because it does happen a lot in Scum. You get a lot of fatal errors. It's not always easy to understand why you get those errors. But is there any works in terms of fixing that or minimizing it?
Fatal errors is not a singular bug. It's so many of them that could be. So whenever those happen, we have to get feedback from the community on what is causing them, and then we fix them. You might see a fatal error message, but it doesn't mean that it's the same fatal error. And as soon as those occur, get reported to our guys, the sooner we can report them and fix them in the next update.
Yeah, just to add on that spectator mode as well. It's not because you explained that you don't want the players to see the spectating mode because you can see in people's faces. It was more so for live spectating for admins, not like as a recording, just as a live spectating. Like instead of being in a drone, you can also view it from their standpoint.
There are tools like visual player aiming and all of that can be done by admins, and they can see all of that info right now.
But there's no plans for actually like what is it called? Spectator mode, basically. Like not recording, but actually live spectating from the player's perspective, live, basically, without recording.
Not currently, no.
Okay.
But like I said, we do have admin tools that are doing all of that. All of the reasons why you would want it, we do have admin tools that are doing it right now.
Gotcha. Here's a funny question. I'm sure I know the answer for this, but is there any news or info we can get for the wipe of approximately when? Not the wipe, sorry, the patch. And if there's gonna be a wipe with that patch. I know it's before Christmas, but is there any specific dates in mind?
Sooner than you think.
Sooner. Soon TM, basically.
No, not soon. Sooner.
Sooner. um, Here was a question. I'm not particularly agree with this question. But I also want to hear what you guys think because I've been loving the improvised weapons lately. I'm having a lot of fun. But people would argue that they're a little bit too easy to make. Are you planning to make them harder to make? Let's say you have to have a crafting table or some sort of stuff like that, or are they gonna remain as easy as they are to make?
They were harder to make, and then there was no point to them because
Yeah.
by the time you gather all the ingredients to make them, you already found a gun, right?
Yeah.
Uh, right now it's gonna stay the way it is. After we get more and more feedback to it and see what we can do to it, maybe some things will change, but right now it's gonna stay the way it is, especially because currently it's Dedapunk's favorite weapon. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah. I saw him post it. He loves it. I've seen that.
hmm
One of the last questions here. There's been for the longest time now a ghost hit bug, and that's not only for puppets, it's also for players. Is that like you shoot them and their screen will go red but they don't take damage. The same goes for puppets, like you'll hit them but it doesn't affect them, like you don't actually get the impact, you'll just hit straight through them. Is that a priority to fix?
Yeah, those are optimizations, and that will be fixed with the optimizations.
Gotcha. One of the last questions here as well, and this one I've been thinking about for the longest time. um, Sector spawns. Right now, you have 25 sectors to spawn in, and I think most people think the same. That getting back to a fight, especially if you have one of the DLC characters with a weapon, it's super fast. You can pretty much spawn straight on them. Uh, Especially if you parachute. A lot of servers have this turned off. I don't know what it is for vanilla because I haven't played it in quite some time now. But getting back to a fight is quite easy. If I take an example of, let's say you and me are fighting, BEDA, and I shoot you with my last bullets, but it kills you. But you also hit me, and so I'm limping and I'm hurt as hell. But I don't have more ammo to basically save myself. But I did kill you. But it takes longer for me to heal those injuries than it does for you to come back and kill me. And especially if you have one of the DLC characters that already has a pretty decent weapon, an axe, a knife, or a machete, it's quite easy to just come back and chop the person up. And then you basically won the fight because you started limping and ran out of bullets. Uh, my question is basically, there's two questions in it. The first question is there plans to make the normal prisoner spawn in with a knife when he spawns in? So like it makes sense. Let's say he has his hands what is it called, with rope on him, and he used the knife to cut the rope, like that for an example. And is it possible to make the sectors, instead of having 25 sectors to spawn in, you make like 4 or 6 big sectors to spawn in? Like you cut up the map in 6 or 4, and out of those sectors, those you can spawn in, but the map is still divided by 25.
Uh, we are looking into solutions for both of those issues. For an example, specifically for the sector spawn, big issue is balance here, right? Because yeah, it's a problem in PvP. We are aware of it, but we also do not want to take away the option of uh, teams teaming up. That it takes them long way, so long to team up again, right? Because, like I said, if you're playing with a group of friends and one of you dies, and then he randomly respawns on the other side of the map, it's with no vehicle, it's gonna take them a long time to go back. And in most cases, people are just gonna give up. I don't want to play this anymore, or see you guys tomorrow, and then everybody else's fun is ruined and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, So it is a balancing issue. We are looking into more other solutions to it right now. Uh, I don't have any information to share on it right now, but we are aware of it. We do take it seriously, and we are looking into it.
Do you have any how to say answers for the normal character to have a knife or anything, or is that off the grid basically to give an answer on?
Uh, we are looking into balancing that as well. Can't share any information on it because there's multiple solutions that we have on the table right now.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, we'll have to see.
That kind of brings me to the end of my questions. In total, it was 48 questions, but there is a couple of them which was kind of cut out because of reasons not to answer because of having to fix other stuff, and also kind of same kind of questions over and over. It kind of leaves me to the viewers, back to the viewers. If they have questions in the chat, we could maybe read. If you do have the time for this.
Yeah, I can squeeze in a couple more minutes. I would just like to go to the bathroom real quick, and I'll be back.
I need to go as well, so we'll take a little quick little bathroom break, and then we'll be back.
All right, sounds like a deal.
Yes.
All right, I'm back.
I'm back as well. All right. Let's see if we have a couple of questions here.
Before you read out, all of you guys that are doing the feedback for the weapons, please put them in the Steam forum. So we have them saved for later as well. Thank you.
Hear that, guys? Save them in the Steam. Oh, Jesus, I can't even say the word. Forum. Question from PTR said DLSS optimization, because there's no real difference to that. Like having it on and off.
We've been working with NVIDIA on it, and it's yeah, we've been working with NVIDIA on it.
Basically. So there's no really like set answer and date for that fix, basically.
I mean, it depends on multiple configurations and all of that, and really depends on a lot of like what your PC setup is and how that impacts. And it's it's been a road that we're not quite done with yet.
Gotcha. Another question. Will it snow this year in Scum for the update?
uh, Global warming.
Global warming basically
It
sums it up.
snows. I mean, it snows in the mountains quite often, so I don't know.
Question here from Brick. What are the top priorities for the game right now? Will there be a roadmap?
We'll see about the roadmap still. The top priorities right now is finishing all of the core features for 1.0 and getting the best 1.0 release as possible for you guys. So getting all the core features and getting the gameplay loop down, and then balance it all out to have the best full release.
Question from Sikorsky. How is the process of monsters in caves? Are they still working on it, or is the idea abandoned?
Only the Dapong knows.
Only dead upon them. See if we go through here. Any plans of changing the bunkers ratio? Like more old bunkers, less abandoned bunkers. That would basically mean take out some abandoned bunkers and put in the old ones.
Not being able to answer the question right now because we do have a lot more stuff that we are planning with the abandoned bunkers as well. So once that is implemented and stuff like that, we can talk about ratios and stuff like that.
I have a funny type of question. I've said this a couple of times, and I don't know why this started, but in the lockpicking community, there is a myth that if you eat sugar before lockpicking, it will help you with lockpicking. Is this true or not?
I mean, if you guys say it's true, who am I to tell you that it's not, right? I mean, if it works,
Basically,
it makes no difference, but I guess it's some kind of a placebo effect that went around in the community. So feel free to tell that to other people as well. If you want to keep at it, I don't know.
yeah, the answer is no, it doesn't help. That's a myth, and I don't know who started it, but it's not true. There you go, Giddy. Another question here. Yeah, that's a good one from Sino Master, and I'll add a little bit to that question. The map in Scum is pretty much set as it is. You can't really interact with it. Is there any plans to make it interactive to set pinpoints? Let's say you want to show your squad something. Let's say you want to plan a raid. When I do that, I have to screenshot the map and I have to go to paint and I tell my squad, listen, we go here, 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 here. This is the raid points. This is the use it sniper here. You get what I'm saying? Pinpointers and be able to zoom on the map. Is that in the works or in the thoughts?
It is. It's just that like how and when. We did get a couple of like good suggestions for it, but I'm not. I don't want to say too much right now, just in case it changes again.
Gotcha. Interesting one is from Brick Psychosis. There used to be a lot of under water caves, and there was no really good way to access the caves because there's no diving gear. Will there be caves you can only access through water with the use of actual diving gear? Because right now you can't really build in caves, but it's a pretty big hassle and there's no loot in those underwater caves as there is right now. Is there any plans for them?
Unknown at this point.
Unknown, gotcha. Question here for Peter said, Beta, how are you? That much work and stress is exhausting. Breathe.
There is no war in Bossing Say.
Couple of questions being asked that I already answered. I can pretty much answer this question myself, but I'll ask it to you. Is there plans to get the map bigger? Not that it is much needed, but
there is no war in Bossing Say.
Um, a messenger from Phil from YouTube. Tell Beta I love him and ask roaming bladesmith when.
Is that the Book of Eli reference?
I'm not sure.
I think it is. I don't know who told you that we're gonna have something like that, but yeah.
uh, question for Getty: will there be a harder lock, basically a platinum lock? He needs a bigger challenge.
Uh, no, but what we can do is give you a specific build where it's harder to lockpick just for you if you want it.
Okay.
But only for Getty, not nobody else.
Okay. Question for Canada Man, which is a good one. Are you going to be able to turn off the car without actually having to get out of the car?
Uh, it is planned at one point.
Yes, because me and Peter said have did this in the past. We did this car bait challenge, which is extremely hard. We tried to set up a car and sit in the back of the car, get someone to like, oh shit, there's a car, get into the car and drive us either into their base or drive us somewhere without them knowing, and then we shoot them in the back of the head because we sat in the back. But that was so hard because we couldn't turn off the car without having to get out. And for the
Not
door to stay closed, you had to like really like put it close to a wall or something, and then have it roll out of the road, the wall, so it stayed closed, but still you could open the door.
Well, not only that, but we also recognize the tactical use for it, right? For example, you have a team, you're looting a POI, but you have a guy staying in the car just in case you have to do a quick getaway and you don't want to spend the car battery and the fuel by having it run. Yeah, we recognize that. We are looking into it.
Gotcha.
It's a bit more complicated though.
There's a couple of questions that are being asked that are already answered. Uh, gun attachments that will come later. That is planned. A question from Scarface here. Ask Beta, is the prison on the snow area is a reference to TWD? I don't know what that is because they're both built the same.
He's talking about the comic book series or the TV show The Walking Dead
Oh, I'm fucking
that they have
stupid.
that they have
Jesus.
in the prison. And um don't you just love copyright laws? No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
It might be, but it might not be. You know, that's
Yeah.
that's a there are a lot of Easter eggs and like choices inside that are references to different points, but people implement them like this guy decided to put it that there because
Same
he
same
can.
goes for
So
Nuclear City. I can pinpoint a couple of places where I've been here before, kinda.
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, for an example, it used to be it got removed because people didn't understand it. But original Samobor City, all of the street names were actually last names of the developers,
Ooh,
but people
really?
couldn't pronounce them, so
Yeah, it's hard.
they couldn't say where they were to their friends, so we had to change
Yeah,
it.
we bro, when we talk about where we are and stuff like that, it's basically the sector and the town, and then whatever southeast. It's the only town I really know is Samobor. Ooh,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
actually brings me over. I forgot to ask that question. I kind of skipped it. That was a big one. Where is this? It's basically about Samobor. Because Samobor was pretty much, it was so big and open. It caused a lot of performance issues, but it was so much fun to go around in Samobor, and you could really exploit all the different places you could go there. Really sneak around, and you could play really good as a solo. We have JW who loved Samobor City, and he was the biggest guy. He never went out of that city. I don't think when that city was like it was, I don't think I ever saw him go out of that city. But it was a good city for basically solos to really be able to compete with squads, because you could shoot and kill one guy, and then you could rotate in so many different ways through the city. The basic question is there: is there any plans to, some people say, make Sambo fun again, to open up Samobor more again now that performance are being worked on and things are kind of being easier on the performance?
Well, the performance we'd had to be a little bit, changed due to performance. But the reason why we needed performance is to implement all the other features that are going in the game. So
Gotcha. But there's no plans of after 1.0 or anything like that to open up
um,
anything.
we have to see how much more optimization and performance we can get into it, and how the other features that are planned implemented into it are gonna influence it. But we would like to have our core features set before we can do anything else with Samaba.
I think I found the best questions I ever seen. I gotta be honest. There's two questions. I'll ask the best one first, and then we'll get to
All
the
right, and
other question.
and those have to be the last ones, though.
Okay, gotcha. The first question is, when will there be a Dr. Grant hat? That is the best questions I ever heard. Out of all the questions, out of all the 50 questions that were asked.
Bester Matovsky about it.
And the second question is, which I also was thinking about, but I didn't put in. Last question from XFlare from YouTube. Is there any little safe space, basically, in the safe zone that you could be able to place an item to store it, basically? And I'll add on to that, maybe you could have it so you have a storage container you could pay for and determine on the value of that item you put in there. Let's say you put it as a tier list. Let's say C4 is the highest tier together with other explosives. You had to pay that a daily price out of your bank account. And dependent on the tier, you would have to pay a lot. But it's basically a safe place to put a couple of items.
Yeah, like a bank vault or a safety deposit box,
Yeah.
something like that. There were talks about it, but nothing confirmed yet.
Understand. All right, thank you so much for your time, BEDA. I really appreciate it. The rest of the community appreciate it as well. And we got very good answers to most of the questions that were asked. So
Yeah,
from me and the rest of the guys, thank you so much for attending the interview.
Yeah, no problem. And I will see you, all of you guys, in the Discord comments and everywhere else.
Yeah, make sure to write in the Steam forum, guns, bugs, everything, especially the guns and everything. And PvP community gotta get more vocal and more critique.
Be constructive and be polite.
Constructive, yeah. No fuck yous in the comments or this is bullshit. We need actually concrete.
You can do a couple of those, but not too much.
Hey, keep it civil, guys. Keep it. All right, thank you so much, BEDA, for your time.
Yeah.
And have a lovely night, man. Take care.
Yeah. Everybody else, have a lovely night, and I'll see you on the socials. Have a good night.
Good night. All right, guys, that was the interview. That was pretty good. I was a little bit nervous in the beginning because I felt like I didn't have all the questions. I did have over 40 questions to ask. I added a couple during the interview. Some of them were sent to me, like Grant asked this. I was like, well, yeah, that's a good one. But I feel like we got to cover all the most important things. I think there was a couple of questions that couldn't be answered as I wanted. A big part was hip fire accuracy and a recoil, which is a big thing in Scum. Right now it's like playing Call of Duty, the PvP, and it's an issue. The meta is kind of third person running around hip fire, but it is being worked on. But first off, the movement rework must happen, and then they can work on other stuff. There is more important stuff that needs to be in the core before they add on other stuff. Another question that wasn't we didn't really get a clear answer to how it will be. That was the armor and so on. They will work on it, but there is a bug with the penetration system at the moment in terms of base building and the penetration for armor and so on. So it wasn't really that simple to answer the question. Food, cooked food for skilling. Couldn't really answer that. That was in the core of the game, in the basement, and right now they couldn't really change it. But I think most of the questions were asked pretty well. Like you saw, there was a couple of bugs that I wasn't even aware of. For example, the blueprint bug, when you load in and you're not able to run, so you have to place a blueprint to fix it. The darkness bug in the door frames, very common bug, and it's very irritating. But he didn't know about it as well. The BCU model upload bug, a couple of things. So I think everybody can help each other get better and write more feedback and try to be constructive. Because I do read a lot of the feedback as well, and it's a lot of like, fuck you, what is this bullshit, and this is not also, like, it's really not constructive criticism, it's really more molding, because you're mad you just died and your first reaction is, fucking devs, I'm going to fucking Steam for you gotta fucking hear from me, motherfucker, just fucking give me some fucking trash. So we have to be a little bit more constructive on that sense. I'll start reading more chat now. Can we spread this interview into our communities? I will make a video out of the community. No. Been talking so long I can't even speak. I will make a video of this interview. So it's not a stream, it's actually a video you can click on and watch again. The most point to fix is PvP and is the movement. Yes, indeed. And that was answered, and that was the priority. Before you fix anything else, they have to fix the movement. Give the YouTube chat a little bit love. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of Twitch chat. I don't normally stream on YouTube, but today I felt like it was necessary. Say hi to everyone. Elias, Olaf, Stavi, Mac, Hussein, DEC, Lori. Hi everyone. A lot of discussion in the YouTube chat. The flag bug. What is the flag bug? Oh, the one who... Yeah, you mean the squad leader can only place the flag. Well, I don't know if that is a little bit difficult to debate, because there's a lot of arguments for why the squad leader only should be able to place the flag. But yeah. You can climb to infinity with the ladders. What's up, Active? Yeah, they did answer most of the questions. There was a few they couldn't, but most of them were answered. Thank you, Hussein. Filling the blueprint. Oh, okay, the flag bug. Okay, so when someone places, it's the same for the bed, kinda. When the squad leader puts down the flag blueprint, only he can finish it. If someone else tries to finish it, it'll say it's filled up to the maximum, but it won't be placed. Yeah, that is true. Babula, what's up, man? Socially, Levy, Hogan, Brick, Canada Man. Okay, here we go. Now I have to get back to fucking Babula. Thank you so much for the 30 fucking gifted subs, man. Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I have to get back. The alerts was turned off, so I haven't thanked anyone yet. GG, thank you so much for 9 months. Hogan, thank you for the gifted to Klepto. Another gifted to Sino. Thank you, Hogan. Louise, thank you so much for the another gifted as well. Hitchma, thank you for the gifted. Hogan, thank you for the 5 gifted. Sabana, thank you for the gifted. Dennis, thank you for the gifted. Donny, thank you for the 6 months. Hogan, thank you for the gifted again. Again, Hogan, thank you for 5 gifted. Dennis, thank you for another gifted. Again, Hogan, thank you for 5 gifted. Ray, thank you for the biddies. Boom, thank you for the raid. Hogan again, thank you for the gifted. Gerdy, thank you for the 20 months. Jana, thank you for the 11 months. No, 15 months. Yes, 15 months. Thank you so much. Babulash, thank you for the 13 months. And Hogan, thank you for the 1 year. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't say anything during the stream. but I had to keep it minimal and get the best out of the interview. Thank you so much for all the support. Missed most of the interview. I will make a video out of the interview for sure. That I will do for sure. I did a recording of everything. I'm still recording, so the interview will be basically in 2K. The other times when I take stream content, it's mostly in 1080 because I have to download it from Twitch, and it's pretty awful. So this time I clicked recording, and it will be recorded in 2K. Give part 2. I will come with part 2 of the current series. Don't worry, I will. This background should be the new loading screen for Scum. It's a pretty good one. It's a pretty decent one. It's the same type of thing I use for the end of my videos. But yeah, we need a Dr. Grant item, man. That would be fucking amazing. Dream come true. Whoever said that is a fucking genius. Holy shit. I want to thank everyone for being here as well. I think I'm gonna call it off now. I am fucking starving. It's been 3 hours. It was a over 2.5 hour interview. We didn't really agree on a time. He said he can do 2 hours, no problem, and we went over 2.5. So pretty generous. I want to thank BEDA so much for doing the interview, and this was a much needed interview for the PvP community, because I do feel the PvP community has really decreased or recently. It's really been people hopping over to other games, and a lot of the PvP community didn't feel like they were being heard as they should. There's been a couple of interviews with the developers before, but it has been with majority of the interviews have been with creators that are more focused on the PvE aspects of Scum. Still great interviews, but there was no specific PvP interviews. So I think this was much needed. Will the VOD be immediately available? I will make it available right off the bat, and I will also work on posting this as a video. Thanks for that, Grant. I guess so that was time to speak with a PvP player and the community about PvP things in the game. We will happy and pray. I'm out. Alright, appreciate it, Getty. You have a good one, man. Take care. Canada man, I quit playing official PvP servers after playing 2 to 3k worth of them, only because of cheaters. Yeah, the cheaters is a big problem, especially for officials. Any good server for solo? Max has a good server. It's a Russian server, but he wants to have it more as a EU server. It's called Propofol. Pro. That's the server. That's a maximum squad size. 3 server is the max on there. Start streaming on YouTube. It's to be honest, multi-streaming, it's very hard. It's very hard to keep up with both chats. If it was if I were to have one as a majority and the other one low, it would be easier. Because then it wouldn't be so much chat from one of them, and the majority would be one. Right now, today, there was over 100 people on Twitch, and we reached 100 as well on YouTube, and there was a lot of messages and chats. So that would be extremely difficult to keep up with chat playing at the same time. Alright, my Bola, you have a good one, man. Thank you so much for the support and being here, bro. Take care, man. Only fuse them, yeah, but I also don't want chat on stream, basically. I don't like having the chat on the stream. I want the gameplay to be pure. Kinda. It would be, but it would be difficult because right now there's 65 people on YouTube and there's 90 on Twitch, and a lot of people are chatting, so it's very difficult to keep track of everything. I'm struggling just right now, reading back and forth. I missed a lot of chats. But the interview itself, really good, really good. I'm very happy with it. It turned out better than I thought, and all the answers was mostly answered. We got the answers we kind of needed, and we got the acknowledgement of bugs and other questions that we felt like wasn't answered and wasn't taken seriously. As you saw in the Q&A, there was questions about the scope bug, and the answer was kind of like soon, and then they laughed about it. And for us in the PvP community, that was kind of like, damn, they don't really take it seriously. But for this interview, they came in prepared, and they actually came and said scope bug will be fixed for the next patch, and the patch is sooner than you think. Viper, thank you so much for the 10 months, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And willkommen. Other than that, thank you so much, guys, for all the support. Thank you guys in the YouTube community for watching the stream as well. Also over at Twitch. Thank you guys so much for the support. And I will end it here. I don't think I will raid anyone right now. I have to end both streams on YouTube and Twitch. So I will just end it here. Alright, thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
The name is Dr. Grant.
You're not on my level. Get out of my lobby.
These people think they have a chance to win?
Yeah, that's right. Scum League Dominion champion right here.
It's completely fine. I'll take them on all solo. No problem.
Fuck down.
Little fucking camper.
Oh my god.
Knocked one out.
The new doctor of Twitch and YouTube.
Close, Gwen, ja.
Du lille Hurensohn. Was geht?
Krankenwagen.
Two down. Three, all dead.
Sit the fuck down, bitch.
Oh, fucking shit, man. go. Go, go, go. Go, go, go. Fuck off.
Skill issue right there.